All right. What is up, everybody? We are here live for the Q&A, Hangout, discussion, whatever you want to call it. I think it's been a few months since I've done something like this live, so we're here. So it's good to be back. I want to shout out King Shadow, always here first. We got our members in here too. We got Revelatio, what's going on? Hope all is well with you. Quentin Bauer, what's up, brother? Kenny Smith, what's going on? He says, let's go. Podcast style is my favorite LTRE format. Yeah, definitely. It's one of my favorites too. These live discussions are always kind of more just kind of off the cuff, not really. Sometimes I bring in topics, but I sometimes let just the audience kind of, bounce off of whatever we're talking about. So these are a little bit different than your normal LTRE episodes where it's usually has, different talking points and whatnot. And this kind of has that, but it's more of a organic kind of flow because it's just based off of whatever, Resident Evil questions or survival horror topics that kind of end up coming out through the chat. So we got Zach Taft in here. Got his account back. Welcome back. Maintains has finally caught a live stream on my off day. Nice. Yeah, Carlos Gaming, what's up, brother? Good to see you in here. Darnizler, what's going on? It has been a little bit. Thunders, what's up? Lucius, what's up? We got all our returning members in here. Thanks for supporting for another month. As I try to, kind of get the next slice of live streams kind of moving here on this channel. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a very interesting week of live streaming this week because Resident Evil 0 is back. If you guys haven't peeped the thumbnail, that was kind of the hint. But yeah, as you know, like I said in the podcast episode, I'm going to be attempting to 100% Resident Evil 0 for the first time. And we're going to attempt it on the PlayStation version first. And we're going to just see where we go from there. I think it's, it's going to be challenging for many reasons. But I will be making a video that's going to be kind of documenting my whole experience going through this game. So I'll kind of have like a highlight overall of, my trials and tribulations with Resident Evil 0, the struggles within that I'm going to face with Resident Evil 0 because it's not my strongest game at all, actually, but now it's time to get good at it. So I'm using the 100% LTRE 100% series as a way for me to, jump on these titles that I may have not, been brushed up on the last few years, or, games that I definitely could be a lot more, like a well-oiled machine, kind of like, Remake, where I feel like I have that down pretty good after 100%ing it 2 times back to back. This might be the case for Resident Evil 0 because, as you know, I own it on multiple formats. So it might be done on PlayStation as well as Xbox. That's going to be the move. So we're going to bring it back to PlayStation a little bit. And I have the Platinum for Remake, so I might as well try to get the Platinum for 0. But I haven't really played 0 in a long time. In fact, it's been a very long time on this channel since 0 has been featured, about 4 years or so, and I've never really played it. The only thing that I played that I took back out, that I, kind of took the dust off, so to speak, was Resident Evil Code Veronica. I kind of went back and played the Xbox 360 version, was trying to get those achievements and such. And basically, I kind of stopped because, um, well, I have to beat the game in under 5 hours, and I can only save when the disc switches, which is when it goes over to Chris. So I'm not that good at Code Veronica to do that yet. I think because the achievement and the trophy, I believe it's the same. It kind of translates, is unlocking the rocket launcher, which requires me to be a lot better at that game. So I think stuff like this will force me to get better and will give you guys content to watch. And it's going to be live streamed, but it's also going to be put in it's going to be wrapped up in a little video that is going to show, what's easy, be unlocking the trophy, the achievements, like whatever order it's in, and just seeing what's going to be, the challenge of, me trying to play it on a hard mode, or, unlocking certain modes like the Leech Hunter mode and trying to successfully pull that off, which I don't think I've ever done, So Resident Evil 0 is a, it's a different type of challenge for me, personally. Sorry, the cats are getting fed, so I'm making sure that they don't cause a problem. 1 second. The good old cats. Sorry about that. Had to separate the cats for when they get fed, because Jesse and James have, bowls down here where they eat, and then Mugen has, I don't need these headphones on. I don't know why I'm putting them on. But yeah, basically just had to separate them real quick. So sorry, I don't mean to dip out on the mic. But yeah, so let's see. Firefly says, bring on Resident Evil Code Veronica, RE Part 1 remake. That's what's on my mind. Yeah, a lot of people want to see Code Veronica, Resident Evil 1 remade again. I think that's on the table. I don't think that's completely off. Most underrated Resident Evil, says Kenny Smith. Underrated Resident Evil? I would say just because people don't really understand that you can still play it online, I would say Outbreak. Because even though people want Outbreak Remake, you can actually play Outbreak as it is, and it's actually really fun. And it made me appreciate that game a lot more. Another one that I honestly would say, and this is very, you can't say this is controversial, but Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City, I think, is actually a pretty fun co-op shooter what-if game, and it doesn't harm the lore, so it's a little wacky, it's a little cartoony, but it works. Chaos, what's up? Says, hello, hope you're having a great day. You too. Exit Theater, what's going on? Another member says, hope everyone's been well. Good to see you in here. They'll give us something right. Yeah, Revelation, hopefully. Do you believe that the new RE9 will be open world, and how do you think they can implement it? Well, I think, if anything, like I was kind of saying on my podcast, where I kind of specifically had, just kind of like a deep dive on my thoughts as to like how they could implement it, right? And I think it would just be more of, like, I don't know, like I just think it needs to be. It doesn't need open world. It doesn't need saving with open world. It just needs better writing. But I would say that if you did it more like Resident Evil 4, where you don't have those cutoff points, and you can have your side missions, you can have stuff, but there isn't a point of no return. It is just, you can always go and do it, and go wherever you want. It's Carlos with the 37 months memberships, one of the longest running members. Thank you so much. Right along with Kay, been a member for 31 months, is RE35. Let's go. Yeah, it's it never ends, right? It's just the sequels never end. Thunder's Productions Coming in hot with the 5 gifted memberships: Cody, Pizza Face, Jack, Hamame, Sebian Wilson, and that's dude. Come on, you're always supporting the community. So Thunder's Productions not only has been a member forever, but he's always given back to the community. So really want to thank you, man, because you've helped this channel out with a lot of memberships. Memberships do help the channel each month. It really does. On top of because let's just face it, this channel isn't making any money off of ad revenue. You know what I mean? This channel isn't big enough for that. So, you have to have millions and millions of views and subscribers to even make anything off of ad revenue. So donations and memberships, they all help this channel continue to keep going. And so thank you for everybody who's been a member and who's gifting memberships. Appreciate that. Cody, what's going on, man? Alyssa, what's going on? Hope you're well. Josh Joseph, what's up? Is Code Veronica considered underrated still? I don't think so. I think it's more of a fan favorite nowadays than underrated, but had to make a new account, lost my email, says Urban Thrill Seeker. Glad I found this channel again. Well, welcome back. Alexander loves Operation Raccoon City. Facts, I did not mind Operation Raccoon City, says Kenny. Yeah, exactly. I don't mind it either. It's not a perfect game, but yeah, RE4 Remake open design is perfect. Yeah, I mean, and it's not, I guess, and even that wouldn't be considered, open world. It's more of an open area to explore. Like when I think open world, I think you could just go at any point. You can go to anywhere in the map at any point of the game and go back. And there's, Resident Evil 4 Remake had those cutoff points because it had to keep it on a linear path, so to speak, but still kind of, flexed its wings a little bit, so it expanded a little bit, So they did have that for the merchant and stuff. RE Survivor is not bad. I actually really like the atmosphere. I like the setting of Resident Evil Survivor. I think I was mentioning that when I was playing that recently, and no worries, Alex. Just being here is enough for supporting, so don't feel bad. Kular, what's going on? But yeah, Resident Evil Survivor is kind of in that that lane of, could be underrated. It's just the game design overall is just kind of recycled Resident Evil 2 sound effects and zombies and such. Voice acting is not very good, but again, that's kind of part of the charm, I guess. But I think Survivor doesn't really get a lot of love because, people, again, don't really have a, it's very different, because you're going from, one thing that I think did better with the perspective and how it changes was Resident Evil Dead Aim, where I don't really like Dead Aim that much. It's not the worst game I've ever played, but it's not a great game. But one thing I did like was that they had the over-the-shoulder and first person. And I know, Resident Evil Survivor came out really early on, before they were really experimenting with other different camera angles other than, a couple years later they were experimenting with it. But it was the PS1, and it was late in the PS1 cycle. It was 2000, and they didn't really have the technology to do something like that. So I understand that Dead Aim was a natural progression with the camera angle, but that's one thing I wish that they would fix. I know that there is a fixed camera angle mod that is coming out for Survivor, so that's actually going to be really cool to check out. I don't believe it's out yet, but I think it's coming out this year. So let's see here. Maybe they'll try Evil Within 2, and we still wouldn't call that open world, but the areas are decent size. Yeah, that's one I still have to get to and play, because I started to play it, never finished it. I finished the first one on stream, but the second one I'd have to go back to and play. Revelation says, speaking of open world, you mentioned something important on the last vid about what's considered open world. Some games do fall somewhere in the middle. Yeah, I mean, it's I think some stuff that doesn't really need open world, like, sometimes it's added in as just kind of like, all right, well, the first X amount of games weren't really in this open world lane, and now here it is, and sometimes it's fine to experiment with that with, like, spin-off games. Some franchises get away with it during direct sequels, but I don't know. It just depends on how they approach and how much of it is bullshit as well, because that's why, I didn't give much light to, like, this is officially what Resident Evil 9 is going to be. I think a lot of people are jumping to conclusion on other sources, of saying that these people are reputable and stuff like that. So the way I approached it in the podcast was like, okay, well, what if it is open world? What if that's what they see is necessary for this next step for RE9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. But I think what they need to focus on is kind of reel in the story a little bit and just keep in mind that those characters are still around. And I don't want to sound like the grumpy old person saying, oh, I just want it to be the old characters and that's it. But I just want it to be the old characters and that's it. No. You can have other characters, but I just think that, if you're going to implement new characters, you have to pass the torch, so to speak, properly. And if you never finish off the other characters in a way where it's closure, then, what the hell are we doing? It's like this franchise just continuously goes on forever. So, is the shapeshifter follower enemy, like, the thing is still going to happen in R9? Well, that's what I'm saying, Urban. I don't give light to those rumors and speculation, because we don't know anything until it actually gets announced and we see those things, right? So I say this all the time and I sound like a broken record, but, I realize that my viewership, my channel, everything could be a lot bigger if I covered these leaks and these things all the time, and I just don't. And it definitely works against me, but I just don't like working on leak videos like that unless I know it's coming from, a source that I can trust and that I'm going to actually follow up and make videos on. So I'll have the same thing they did for RE3 OG, going through a dead city, getting supplies through stores and buildings. Yeah, I would love another Raccoon City-esque place, but done right, Kay wants Allison Court back if they remake Code Veronica. You know what's funny? She does still got it, and I absolutely love. I went back and watched Degeneration in the Discord. We do monthly, like, movie nights and stuff, and man, she just fits so well as Claire. And just to hear her in Degeneration, that was like her last role as Claire. I'm so happy they got her back just for that. Even if that was the one last time they actually went with, like, union-based actors and they hired her. Man, she did such a good job. And hearing it like made me miss her more as that role. I do like the new Claire, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. My grandpa gave me his Oculus 2, finally was able to play RE4 VR. Yo, that thing's awesome. How sweet is it, Darnazler? The thing's awesome. Evil Within 1 is really fun. The second one, I've tried 2 times to beat. Just can't get over the fact that they changed Sebastian's voice actor. Did they? I must have missed that when I played. Jack says, thank you, Thunders. What's up, Rambo? When is the review for Song? Oh my god. That was amazing. That was a fun show. Always fun jumping on with Dead Pit and Rambo and everybody else who was on there. Yeah, that was such a great time. I'm concerned that in the act of desperation to try and close the legacy characters, they'll do something stupid like they did with Wesker in 5 and kill someone off as a way of getting rid of them. It could happen. I mean, I don't think that they're gonna do it just randomly. If they're gonna do it, I think the Wesker death has kind of been a regret. I think maybe that Capcom has, might have on their shoulder, because he could have been used so many more times, and he's like a fan favorite. So I think that might be something they change going forward. We might, who knows? That might be a major thing they change, but we'll see. Like, I don't want to see any old character get killed off, but sometimes you do have to take risks, and instead of just like ignoring the character and never going back to them, I don't know. Wish they kept Piers to be in the new Chris of the franchise. Yet he came into RE6. I think he could have been a new Chris if he was still alive. Man, I like Chris, so much over Piers. It's kind of nuts. I do not like Piers. I completely hated his character in 6 personally, but I know people like him, and they like Chris's campaign in RE6. But man, it was just not, I don't know. I just didn't really care for that. But I guess that was enough for him to get completely depressed and isolate himself in 6, which we thought oh, maybe something happened to Jill. Maybe something serious happened. No, it was because he lost some squad mates which I'm not saying that would be an easy task to deal with, but we thought that there was so much more built up in RE6 for his character, and they just didn't really do much with it, which sucked, because that was the last time he was in a game that was like, you're playing as him in a campaign, and here we are just getting not great writing from the RE6 side of things. So, yeah, I agree, Dr. Evil. I hope it's more of a older school approach, or, at least like the remakes. Really hoping R&I continues where Village left off. Chris taking on BSAA. That in that respect, where the story leaves off, I agree, Seabash. Like, we saw them kind of scratch their head, like, be like, why are they sending in these, BOWs? How did, BSAA get corrupt? And we see that follow up instead of it, never getting addressed, and then it kind of gets forgotten about, because sometimes they do that a lot. And 6 was kind of like another, like, they pivoted away from that heavy when they were like, yeah, people didn't like this. Let's take this story and move it somewhere else, literally bring it to Louisiana and make it like a soft reboot. And that's what they had to do to get away from it. So, Patrick Swayze's in the house. He says, I think it would be fun if you covered leaks and just had fun with it, if that's what Capcom did. Grow your channel and keep your integrity by not acting like it's real. Well, I mean, it's not like I haven't covered leaks before and kind of speculated and talked about, what if, but it gets to the point where, a lot of the videos that I see that aren't, polished in a way where it's like, it's a low effort approach sometimes when some of the videos that you see get thrown up there. And again, these are not Resident Evil channels per se. Some are just leaked channels in general, and they kind of shift, they change the tune every time they jump on another topic. So for example, they'll talk about Final Fantasy leaks one week, and then they'll talk about Resident Evil one week, and then they'll talk about a fighting game the other week, or League of Legends, or like, it's like you see these channels all the time. And so what I should have really said was that, I don't want to cover it like that. I don't ever want to cover things in that way either, where it's just like, pulling quotes from like this headline website and then kind of repeating it. And then, because a lot of these channels, they don't play games. You ever notice that? Like, they'll do videos, but they're not sitting on here live streaming they're not playing games for an audience, you know. And if they do, um, you know, I haven't seen it, you know. So a lot of these channels are very just trying to catch the trends, you know. And like I said, there's there's Resident Evil channels that do it, that are trying to kind of break in the mold of kind of this foundation here on YouTube. So some people are trying to break through with those leak videos, and I guess power to them, right? But yeah, like I said, that's probably why I'm not growing, because I don't have the flair under my ass to make leak videos every single week, because I just don't find it fun, you know. Until there's actual real information, then I can talk about it, you know. Then it gives, you know, the content kind of creates itself at that point, covering current topics and whatnot. So that's why I think the open world thing was fun, because I took my time to think about it, wrote down what I wanted to say in the podcast, and said it in a constructed way. Instead of just making a quick video and maybe I overstep things that I was supposed to say, or I rushed it, you know, because that's another thing too. There's an aspect of rushing those videos that I don't like, because the integrity is not there when it's rushed, and it's not genuine either. So when I take something like Resident Evil 9 open world, and I realize that everybody was going to, you know, ask me about my thoughts on it, something as big as that kind of, you know, I guess being talked about in the Resident Evil space, it's, you know, I think timing is everything. Like, we're going to get, you know, a Resident Evil 9 announcement, I think, some point this year, I would hope. And then we could start seeing, you know, what they're actually going to do. Peter's asking if I ever played Outlast. I do like Outlast, and I still think it's a pretty solid game. You know, I never played the second one. I just played the first one back when it was free on PlayStation, and what was it, probably 2014, 15, 2014, 15, I don't know. They need to bring back Jake, says Alex. Nice one. To the follow-up, because of the possible regret they have for killing Wesker, do you think there's a chance that they won't kill him at the end of RE5 remake? Maybe he escapes. Yeah, I mean, they could. I mean, that's when they'll start changing what happens in the main timeline. You know, the remakes and the originals are side by side, story-wise and event-wise. They still line up pretty damn well, give or take a few different changes within the game, cut content, things like that. I understand, but the overall story beats have been the same. That would be the first time that we actually see them turn away from the events that went on in the original. So that'd be interesting. You can make fun of more dumb articles like the screenshot ones from a bit ago, or said new Resident Evil remakes are already a mistake. Oh yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, kind of like do more of like a humor approach to it. That's a good point. And you know, that is something that I definitely should consider, especially when, you know, every other week it seems like there's Resident Evil 9 news, and a lot of it is not real, but it can make for some funny, you know, some funny screenshots or some funny ass comments. So they put aside, so main characters are put aside for the new ones like Hunk, Billy, Carlos. Let's wrap up these stories before we play with the new toys. Well, that's the thing, Urban. They're not going to do that for everybody and all those characters that you just mentioned. Some of them just kind of got, you know, just they're just done, you know. And then the remake was a chance for them to kind of make minor improvements, and then, you know, that's something that you know, like Capcom is very known for some of these characters not getting complete endings, and with a franchise that's been going on for so long, you know, you're going to see certain things that don't get wrapped up, unfortunately, as much as I would like them to. You know, the remakes sometimes are ways that they can kind of, you know, explain a little bit more, dive in a little bit more. So but we'll see. You know. Oh yeah, Screen Rant. Yeah, man. That's what I'm saying, Rambo. There's so much crap, and that's why I think the IGN. A lot of people did like the the IGN video that I did on RE5 because that was just kind of like me, just like kind of having to rip down these journalists, quote unquote journalists. I had to step in for that one. No more stars. Remember knockoffs as Revelation. Maybe an Ari Iceberg. What's up, Ralph? Josh says, imagine if Jill if Jill's thinking that using BOWs is the way to go handle situations because she realizes she was under the influence through the virus. She did the job more efficient, and I think it would be cool. Well, that's her turning heel at that point, Josh. I don't think they're going to do that, but more power to them. And Code Veronica, yeah, yeah. That's the thing, man. You're going to get a lot of crazy things out of those articles and a lot of reactions. And it's funny how much that comes up, the Code Veronica discussion. It's nuts. Stevie Mac, what's going on? Patrick Swayze says, I recently beat Dead Aim using a LED TV gun controller, and that was pretty fun. Yeah, that is fun. To play it how it was supposed to be played, right? Ed Oliva says, sorry if you answered this already, but when will Keeper's Diary be available to watch? So that's a good question. So it's probably going to be, at this point, if it's not, the end of April, it's going to be probably within the first 2 weeks of May, we'll actually see something released for Keeper's Diary. I know a lot of people, I knew it was going to come up in this live Hangout discussion, and that's fine. But from what I'm seeing in the chat and what I'm seeing, I think it's safe to say that beginning of May, first couple weeks of May is a safe bet. I don't have a date yet, but like I said, the last few bits are just getting done as far as the VFX and everything like that, just making it as good as we can make it. But yeah, Keeper's Diary will be available to watch on the Residents of Evil YouTube channel for free, and that's where it's going. So, do you like Dead Rising? The first two are really good. I do. I love Dead Rising. I actually want to bring them back on the channel. Matt, what's going on? Matt Silburn, what's going on? Fellow member. Kay says, and I forgot to say hi to Callie. Oh, all good. Callie is she's working right now, but she'll be back home in a few hours. Let's see. Cody says almost 40 in here. Let's go. Yeah, almost 45 people in here. Only 24 likes, though, so let's get the likes up a little bit. It's been a little bit since we've done, a discussion like this live, so I never wanted to stop doing them. I just didn't do them in the midst of all the other live streams we were getting done. Like I said, we got done Alone in the Dark, got done the remake 100% series, Cold Fear. So, hope we never see a member of the Winters family. Yeah, I hope not. I think the Winters, what is it? Shadows of Rose. I think that was it. I would hope that's it. I think I'm gonna get Game Pass tattooed on my forehead. Maybe Xbox will start making more games for a Jurassic move like that. Yeah, man, it's not looking good on their end, that's for sure. Do you think there is RE1 remake in the future? The remake? Yeah, Darth. I think. What's going on, Christine? Christine's in the house too. I didn't want to overlook your comment. What's up? Oh, I mean, while we're here, we got Christine's here, and we got everyone. We got some people from the UK in here. I think it's time. I've waited for this moment. I'm not gonna lie, I definitely already had a box, but I did say I was gonna do it on stream, and here we are. The Jaffa Cakes are here. The delicious Jaffa Cakes. Yeah, I think an RE1 remake will happen. Just give it time. Do you get a chance to see Civil War? No. Is it? I heard it's good. Oh, there it is. Look at that goodness. The goodness. It's Jaffa Cake time. Light skipped RE7 and RE8. That's fair. Sorry, I lost my place in the chat here. Remember says you pick up any recent horror Blu-rays or 4Ks or anything in general. I'm trying to think. I don't think I got any Blu-rays recently. It's been a little bit since I actually picked up a Blu-ray or 4K. I did pre-order Taxi Driver has a steelbook coming out. Bet your ass I pre-ordered that. But yeah, I'm like looking back at my. I mean, I did get. Shout out to Perry. He got me this. Surviving the Game. If you know, you know. This movie's awesome. I don't care what anybody says. It has Ice-T, Gary Busey, Rucker Hauer. This thing's fucking awesome. So, and it came out on Blu-ray, so I still gotta actually watch it. But yeah, I haven't actually picked up a 4K in a little bit. People in some of the RE chat rooms want Chris and Jill to get married at RE9. I'm so tired of the shipping. The ship sailed a long time ago. I know, Kay. I'm glad you said it because, god damn it, I gotta get a Star shirt. Yes, this one I actually got at Hot Topic, where goth girls used to cry in the corner, and wear armbands with spikes on them. Is now a breeding ground for anime shirts and Resident Evil shirts. Who would have known? If they want to do open world and online multiplayer, so about Outbreak File 3 or Remake. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, Urban. I think Outbreak is the way to do that if they wanted to do an open world thing. Okay, sick of the RE7 characters. Yeah, I think it's time we just move on from 7 and 8, you know? And RE9 with Ethan would be disheartening. I agree. It's just BS. RE7 is the only reason I came back to this franchise. Sadly, 8 effed it all up. Yeah, I know it did get people kind of back in a little bit, you know? So I think depending on how people kind of stayed with it or didn't stick with it, you know, that matters. But a lot of people liked Village because it was more action, right? And then some people like 7 because it's more, you know, kind of more scaled back in that way. Yeah, over the shoulder for RE1 remake, I agree. Light free. Rambo with a $2 super chat. Thank you, man. How about a video on the worst horror games top 10? That's actually a really good idea. Like top 10 worst ones, top 10, you know, favorites, you know. But I can also do top 10 favorites that aren't Resident Evil, you know, because a lot of people, or maybe top 5, whatever I decide. But that's some good suggestions there. I appreciate that, Rambo. And thanks for the $2 super chat. Christine says, "Whoop whoop Jaffa Cake hype." Yes, I finally got them. The Jaffas are here. Lucius knows. I want Capcom to stop listening to people who don't like scary games and go back trying to make RE scary. That's why Nemesis got nerfed and why Village is a bit toned down. Yeah, exactly, Dr. Evil. Yeah, they said this specifically, that they're toned down on purpose, I guess, because they, you know, people felt like Mr. X was too invasive in 2, and so they nerfed Nemi in 3, and then same thing with, you know, the Bakers in 7 going to 8, where they minimalize the stalker type enemies. What horror in 7, says Kay. Yeah, I mean, it's not, I guess if you want to say like scaled back. It's in a house, right? It's it focuses on a family, but it's more like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. RE4 or Dead Space is Ralph. I like both. I'm allowed to like both, but Resident Evil Jaffa 9 says Stevie Mac. It's excellent. Saw it in the IMAX last week. Heavy movie sound design, excellent. So what kind of is it, a war movie or is it a horror movie? Because Civil War is some A24 shit, so that shit's probably gonna have some dude's fucking head coming out the fucking sand and some shit. Like, what's gonna happen with that? What's going on, Aaron Hooper? He's in the house. What drink am I washing him down with? So I just have H2O. I just have water, so I don't have anything crazy today. But these are delicious, so they're everything I wanted when I ordered these. And yeah. Ethan's daughter may feature in RE9. I don't know. They said that it was the end of the winter story, so we'll see. That is a good movie. Surviving the Game? Hell yeah. No, Festival of the Living Dead, the sequel to Night of the Living Dead. Oh, Jesus. They're still doing that shit? Or are they doing Twilight of the Dead or whatever the hell that's called? Oh, my God. The unofficial sequels will never end. George Romero will just leave this man alone. He passed away in, 2015, 2016, 2015. And we're sitting here still trying to make money off all this crap. It's like, oh, God. I know, like, the one script they're trying to do is, like, what he had before he passed away. He did have a script and someone's finishing it, but goddamn, like, I don't know. I have a Star shirt I got from GameStop at the release of RE7. Nice. I loved Outbreak. So did I. Urban says, cats. I really hope the thing being open world is not true. Me too, Darth. Let's just hope it's not, and everything else is rumors, right? So it's time to move on from Chris, Jill, and Leon. There's a lot coming, and that's a lot. That says a lot coming from an OG fan. Yeah, Ed, I know there's people that don't like the original characters anymore. There's people that have been shipping them to die for years. But I think you still need a good mix of old and new. I'm not saying new doesn't have to be the case. That's what I said in my episode. I'm not saying I'm against, new characters in general, but you always got to have the old people there to bring them to the dance. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to play a Resident Evil game where it just seems like there's, no... And again, RE7 was like this, where it was just no connections to the other games. And then they have, the Chris that comes in at the end, and he looks all different. So, you lose more of that interest versus the remakes, where it's like people know the characters, people are invested already because they know the characters. I mean, you don't hear people get tired of seeing these characters in the remakes because they're remaking the parts of the timeline that these characters were relevant in and still doing stuff. So, RE used to be bioweapons made from crazy lab experiments and creating horrific viruses. Now it's literally supernatural and magic after Village and Shadows of Rose. Yeah, that's why they need to stop doing what they're doing there. Sean, what's up? Carrier, a Raccoon City story. Our buddy Sean is in the house. What's good, Anthony? Hope you've been well. You too, man. Hope everything's been well with you and the missus and Suicide Bombers and all your stuff, man. And obviously, Carrier, a Raccoon City story. Can't wait to see more stuff from you, man. Hope you've been well, doing everything that you're doing. And Aaron says, hope all is well. We're busy, very busy on my end, and glad I can tune in. Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for people coming in. I know this is more of like a last minute type Q&A thing, but it's cool that we got 40 people in here. It's cool. Because for me, that's like a decent turnout, So, let's see here. Darnizler says an anti-war movie follows these war photographers making their way to DC. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I only saw, I saw a commercial, but I didn't really see much on it, so I didn't know what Civil War was, but there we go. It's okay if they move on to the new characters, although I still love the originals, but they have to have an actual personality and not sound like they are asleep like Ethan. Well, yeah, again, Ethan was just like a shell for the VR unit in RE7, and they didn't know that was going to take off, and they were going to make a sequel that included Ethan, so they never made him have a face. So, yeah, I agree. Give the character more personality and ramp it up a little bit, I'm pumped for the Return of the Living Dead reboot. I know they are making that. I don't know how I feel about that, but they're going to remake and reboot everything. We were talking about that on the Dead Pit Roundtable last night. I agree, Cody. Outbreak would be phenomenal if done right. That is where you do an open world type game. Imagine open world Raccoon City co-op with missions to do, with things to do. That already sounds like an amazing idea. So, I don't know. Can AI Jill survive Resident Evil is very funny and worth watching. I have not seen that. The other night you mentioned you had worked with someone who was working on the George Romero Resident Evil documentary. How did that guy work on it? So, the thing is, the Brandon Salisbury was on set for Keeper's Diary. He was kind of I think he might, I don't know if he's on board as if he is one of the for his project. I know he's the filmmaker for the George Romero thing, but he was just around on set, kind of overseeing some of the production stuff, kind of helping with some of the set stuff, which is really cool. Brandon Salisbury was able to help us with some of the set design as well, where we were kind of like, again, filming, pretty much continuously. Like it was like, stuff was getting, a lot of the audio was basically ADR, right, for Keeper's Diary on purpose, because it's a lot of narration telling these, flashback scenes of this diary that everyone knows as the file, right? So, we had a lot of people helping with the set. Obviously, Rob Noor was the man, and Andrew, of course, the director, was also just building these sets, trying to get a lot of this stuff done in a timely fashion. And Brandon Salisbury came in and obviously was friends with people on the set, but also Andy from Biohazard Declassified, helped get him all settled with traveling and everything like that. Got him to come out and shot his interview with JJ that they did on the channel as well. So they got content done on that. And then Brandon Salisbury helped with like dirtying up some of the sets. He helped with, the laboratory, just adding a little bit more grit to some of the sets. So I know he helped out with that. Not a major role in the production, but it was really cool to like be able to meet him, and he was able to chat with everybody, and he did oversee some of those days of production. And I want to have him on the show because I think it'll be really cool, because he knew who I was. I didn't really know who he was. So I found out after the fact, like, oh, that's Brandon Salisbury. He's doing the George Romero Resident Evil documentary, and that would be amazing to have him on the show and to kind of talk about his process. And yeah, so he's the main director, filmmaker, and coordinator on his project, the George Romero Resident Evil documentary, which is going to be coming very soon. So yeah, I met Brandon through there, so I was able to kind of briefly talk to him a little bit. He was very busy, so there's a lot of moving parts and stuff, so I was only able to talk to him so much. But that project of his is coming out, and like I said, he was at conventions showing off some of the documentary, and he's been going to shows with Charlie Krislovsky, who obviously plays the Keeper in the Keeper's Diary, and also is the OG Chris Redfield from the live action Resident Evil cutscenes and all that from the first game. So it was really cool. I think that was a great experience for me to meet more people. You network that way, and you meet more people through productions like this. And that's when I found out, because I knew of the George A. Romero documentary, but now I put a face to the name. I was like, oh, okay, this is Brandon. He's doing this project that I heard about, knew about, everybody talked about it, but it was cool to finally meet him, and he knew me from just listening to my show, I guess, in the past. So hopefully he'll come on, and we can shoot the shit about George A. Romero films and just have a good time. So I'd love to have that happen, and yeah, that's kind of my connection with that little piece of networking that happened when I was on Keeper's Diary. But I'm very, very excited for Keeper's Diary to come out. Like I said, hopefully a couple more weeks, and we could finally see this thing out, and we can have it for everybody to consume and enjoy, and hopefully we can get a a cool response from the fans. That's what we're all hoping for. So, Quentin Bauer has been a member for 27 months. One of the longest running members. Also, fellow artwork designer for this channel, graphic, all the graphics you see, like the LTRE letter logo and the Chainsaw Man logo, all that stuff, the Dice Lock logos. He's like really holding it down for the channel. So shout out Quentin. Seriously, thank you. I'm on the verge of getting a Predator tattoo. Yes or no? Should I do it? A Predator tattoo? Oh no, Rambo. I mean, shit. I mean, Predator tattoos. I mean, you gotta have the only one that is allowed is the Arnie and Carl Weathers handshake. That's it. You can't get a Predator tattoo. It has to just be their arms clashing, and that's it. Nothing else is allowed. Ethan and Friends didn't work. If we get new people, make a decent connection. Blue Umbrella, my ass. Yeah, I know, right? Everybody's out of ideas, says Darnizzler. Let's see. Life Free says some people prefer the mansion in the original Resident Evil. I say it's more realistic as opposed to the remake, going for a theme park haunted house effect. I mean, I like both aspects of the Spencer Mansion, especially like the, I don't know. I think I like both editions of the Spencer Mansion, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I can't speak today for some reason. Sean says, been quiet with Carrier stuff, unfortunately. Switch gears for band stuff. Suicide Bombers album releases next month, and we got contracted to play this Saturday with Social Distortion and Bad Religion. Dude, that is amazing, man. That is great. Well, dude, seriously, good luck with all that stuff. If you guys ever come around to, obviously, Philly, Jersey area, like, please let me know. I'd love to come see you guys. And for any gig that you have. But that's great to hear that, that you're working on the band stuff still. And of course, sometimes you got to put stuff on the back burner to focus on other stuff. I definitely can relate to that when it comes to, having your hand in multiple projects. So, that's really cool, man. Social Distortion and Bad Religion. That's so killer. So that's congrats on that, man. And congrats on the album release. That's so cool. So yeah, you're ramping up for a whole album cycle. So yeah, that's a lot, man. Horror Fan for Life. The short film Keeper's Diary should be released probably in the first 2 weeks of May. So you can finally actually kind of corner a date hopefully soon. But that's what I'm seeing. So we're going to be seeing it really soon. I think I'm allowed to say that. Matt has been a member for 11 months. Is almost a member for a year. Love the channel and sister channels. Lol. Lettuce, onions, lettuce. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. It still saddens me how misused Mia was, says Ed Oliva. She was perfect character to tie the connections with the overreaching storyline, but instead they just took a left turn to Fantasyland. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just seemed like they didn't really know where to take some of the winter stuff. And then also they didn't know how to bounce Chris off of that whole situation because, again, like the Chris Redfield that I know or that as fans, or all of us know, I should say, collectively, like would have actually told Ethan what was really going on at some point. It's not like you need to have, I don't know, you need to have this crazy switch up, and then they shoehorn in the whole Spencer and Miranda connection, which is just like cringy to say the least. Let's see. Revelations. Did you watch Immaculate? If so, what's your take? I actually did. I did a review on Immaculate, on my film channel, Inoculate Productions. And I didn't mind it. I actually thought it was pretty fun. Fun little throwback to some nunsploitation. Didn't take it too seriously. I kind of had fun with it, like a B movie. I'd probably give it 7 out of 10. It didn't completely blow me away, but I did actually really enjoy it. I did check out Late Night with the Devil as well. I watched that on Shudder. Again, really enjoyed it. There's just aspects that kind of fell apart towards the end, so I'd give that maybe a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. So I was able to check out those two horror movies that I was trying to check out. Immaculate I went to go see, and then Late Night with the Devil was on Shudder, and I was able to watch that. So I'm gonna have to check that out, Life Free. Yeah, I'm excited for the documentary too, horror fan. And yeah, I think fans would have found I mean, fans still find a way to hate on it. They don't like the George Romero script, you know. Um or I still think it's very fascinating and I actually like it. I do recognize it's not a one for one between the game and the movie. You know, I still see what he was trying to do with the script. So, um yeah, that's an if you know, you know tattoo, says Christine. Yeah, I know, right? Anthony, just be prepared. You know there will be people shitting on Keeper's Diary because it's the internet. It always happens. Yeah, Rambo, you're right. And that's the thing too. It's like collectively, myself, Andy from Biohazard Declassified, Nuji from Resident Evil Challenger, and JJ from Residents of Evil, and his whole team. You know, Corey, Beggy, Tony. The list goes on. All those guys, like all of us, actually coming together to make something like this happen is, you know, something we would have never dreamed of, you know, growing into this franchise through these past, you know, X amount of years, you know, 28 years, obviously, you know, but whenever people actually got into it and started to appreciate it as fans online and started to kind of create these little pockets of community, if you would have told any of us that we were going to actually come together with fan crowd-funded money that people generously donated and actually made it possible, um, I think you would be crazy. You know, I think you'd be like, yeah, get, you know, I think you would be crazy telling me that. I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. That's never going to happen. But it happened. And so I think there is going to be those critics and there's going to be people that are going to be, you know, hyper fixated on certain things in Keeper's Diary that might not be to their liking. You know what I mean? But I think at the end of the day, you know, the things that people can probably say about it in a more, I guess, constructive criticism way, hopefully will be a lot more positive than what, you know, the Netflix show or Welcome to Raccoon City, um, you know, that like those things are, you know, as much as shit as Welcome to Raccoon City gets, can we admit the whole Arkley Mountains helicopter mansion scenes were actually well done? Well, I think the set was cool. I didn't mind the set. I thought the sets looked cool. Um, I always think there's going to be, you know, more of a, like, again, having that build up of the mansion. It's like I, you know, I was just expecting so much more with those characters. Because the biggest thing that people have to remember is that, you know, we really could have just got a mansion in a film that was an hour and 40 minutes that told the story that we needed to. I think one of the things that sucked is the fact that like it opened it up to be this whole other thing where we were jumping back from mansion to Raccoon City to mansion to Raccoon City, and it was just like, why, you know, the good things that they did have for their sets, for some of the, you know, the accuracy for some of the sets for Welcome to Raccoon City didn't really pay off for me because they didn't pay attention to where they needed to. It was jumping back and forth. There was too much going on. I think you lost me right when you make these events happen at the same time and you're taking away from bits that are, you know, like imagine a whole entire film where we're taking in the mansion room by room, minute by minute. It's not jumping back to the city constantly. I mean, that's incredible. Like that would be amazing, you know? We just didn't get that. What's up, Jeff M, fellow member? Hope you're doing well. If R9's open world, I'm going to be super bummed. True open world isn't Resident Evil. Yeah, I don't think so either, horror fan. That's why I think if they're going to do anything like that, again, it's you got to take these leaks with a grain of salt. Most definitely. I think if they end up doing something like, you know, Resident Evil 4 remake where it's open enough to where you can explore these other things, that's perfect. You know what I mean? RE9 would be great if it allowed you to randomize rooms and items upon completion. I wish 1, 2, or 3 OG had that. Yeah, I know. Some of the randomizers are actually really cool, and it would be neat to see something like that in the actual game instead of a mod, you know? Why is your audio always so low, bro? I can't hear shit. What do you mean so low? I'm literally watching this thing in the yellow right now, but I don't know. I don't know what you mean, Wes. Rainbow says he can hear me fine. Everyone else can hear me fine. I don't know. I still want them to make the Netflix Arkley show. Yeah, that was never supposed to be a show, you know, because Andrew, the director of Keeper's Diary, was actually involved in that. Robert Knorr was also a producer on that, and that was never supposed to be a show. It was just shot for, you know, just for fun, basically, and people took it out of context and said that this was made for this show, to the point where Capcom got involved and actually got, like, they just said, yeah, no, you can't do, like, we're shutting this down. You can't. And it's like, it was never supposed to be anything, you know, where Keeper's Diary, we didn't have to worry about that happening because it was a fan film, and Capcom did reach out last summer to kind of see what we were doing, what we were up to, and shout out to Andy from Biohazard Declassified. Wrote him back, just told him what we're doing. We're not making money off this. This is just a fan project. We're not using the names or anything like that. And they were like, okay, and they left us alone. So we were able to make Keeper's Diary without any issues. Because that was the common complaint, was like, you know, how are you guys going to do this? You're going to get shut down, all this stuff. But, yeah. Still wanted them to make a Netflix. I already read that. They should have not made 1 and 2. Yeah, 1 and 2 in one movie was not the way to go. I know you're doing them in order, but I would love to do a commentary with you on Welcome to Raccoon City. Yeah, man, honestly, we could definitely make it happen. I just have to get my ass moving. You know, I'm definitely not happy with myself as far as trying to follow up these Resident Evil film discussion podcasts. Like, I need to, like, you know, obviously, you know, you guys know what went down, you know what I mean? A couple years ago, John had to step down, and he took time away from content and everything like that. So, I had to approach how I do these podcasts a little bit differently and who I bring on and stuff like that. So, you know, those obvious delays are apparent, and I get that, but I promise that I'm going to, you know, I have something lined up and someone lined up that can come in for some of these discussions as well. And when I do the commentary, same thing. I can reach out to, you know, people like Rambo, or I can reach out to, you know, whoever I want to do the. Now I just kind of can do it with whoever I want, or people that I've had on the show before. So that's the plan with that stuff. I still really want to cover the films, and, you know, like I said, after Apocalypse, ideally, because that was the last thing that was covered. So Extinction onward, I really got to get on with it. We'll get an accurate, big budget, well-made film based on RE1 one day. It will happen, and I can't wait. Well, I definitely would rather see it done, you know, in a positive way than a negative way. But, you know, with this Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles project that is apparently being still worked on by this film company, because, you know, the Canadian, expense thing came out, and apparently that was like where they were shooting it, and it is an actual thing. So, yeah. Best Resident Evil movie is our imagination. We know how it would go. Unfortunately, Hollywood people do not care, and anything for the quick bucks. That's true, Light Free. Unfortunately, it's a lot easier and faster to take these shortcuts and to do certain things like that, you know. Would you make a big budget Hollywood RE film if the fan film is well received and you were then reached out to make a film? If the right people were involved, and we got the team that we got, but we got more money, we got an actual, like, studio backing us, that's a slippery slope as well. I think, sometimes when you enable these things to get too invaded by actual studios is when it gets corrupt and it gets a little weird. So I would do it, but it depends on, like, let's just say if we keep doing these projects together, because believe me, guys, like, hint, hint, like, this isn't it, like, I really hope that we can continue to work with each other to make more Resident Evil projects or stuff online in the content creation space past Keeper's Diary, but only time will tell if everybody shows up for Keeper's Diary and lets your voices be heard, and hopefully it makes everybody happy, and I can continue to do this as well as doing content for you guys, because, again, filmmaking is my passion as well. As Resident Evil is there, but as you guys know, I have my film channel on here. The two channels that I dedicate time to are this channel and my film channel, but also, of course, Game Complainers as, the other video game outlet channel that I talk about. But, I've always had video game channels that I've been a part of, or film channels. And the fact that I'm able to, work on stuff with Resident Evil and filmmaking and be a part of it I'm very fortunate, Life Read mentions Ari would work better as a series like Fallout. Well, I think they tried to do something like that with the Netflix show, but I think that concept was too far out there, so it didn't really work. Kay's asking, and how about an LTRE members only call-in? Yeah, I was actually thinking about that, Kay. I was thinking about that, and if I can get everybody in the Discord who's a member, and whether it's a member or a Patreon supporter, and I could do a call-in, which would be really, really cool. And, I can probably pre-record it and stuff like that, live stream it, or I might do it pre-recorded because it's easier to, manage the calls, and, in case someone says something crazy, I can also edit it out. Not that any of you guys would do that, but, something like call-ins, I'd like to do that, maybe pre-recorded, and then, maybe have it as a show, maybe upload it as like an actual podcast show. Why not? Because maybe we can have, 3 or 4 people at a time, and then we can cycle in other people. That's a great idea. I did it before, actually. Before I did a call-in show, if you guys remember, years ago. And it was before this member Patreon thing was, a thing. So I was just kind of doing it like free form, like, all right, anybody who's available. And it was through Skype, and it was fun. But yeah, I think now everything's in place, yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, that would be a really great thing to keep people, maybe like once a month we can do it, and it gives people incentive to stay locked in as a member, but also gives people a chance to actually be on the show. Because a lot of people are always like, oh man, I'd love to be on an LTRE podcast or a show, and that's a way to do it. So yeah, that's a great idea. And the fact that you are, all you guys in here, as well as, people on Patreon have been supporting me for a while, so I like hearing feedback, and I like hearing what you guys would like to see. And of course, you guys and gals all vote on, the survival horror Let's Play that I do, or live stream, whatever you want to call it nowadays. So Cold Fear was the last one. I have to put up another poll, so there is going to be another poll before the end of this month that will be voting on the next survival horror live stream that I do. And Cold Fear is very fun. So I can't wait to see what the next selection will be. I don't think that we'll ever get a big budget Ari film that's done right. Seems Hollywood and the powers really don't care about the lore and the fan base beyond making a quick buck. Yeah, it's always money. It's always an industry, right? It's always business, and you're going to get these shortcuts, RWK, what's up? Leon, YouTube, what's up? Yeah, definitely. I agree, Jeff M. A good way to keep the community connected and involved. Yo, what's up? How you been? I've been good. And let me know if you want any help pro bono. Appreciate that. Yeah, definitely going to take you up on that. RWK says, I'm late. Did he give any updates on Keeper's Diary? First 2 weeks of May is when we should see it released, RWK. Hopefully very soon. As much as the fans hate Paul W.S. Anderson, would you ever interview him if he was game? Yeah, I'd interview him in a heartbeat. I would never say no to interviewing anybody, despite reputation, despite But I would probably say, hey, look, if I can I ask certain things that aren't softball questions? Like if he wanted me to just give him softball questions and that's the conditions of it, that's fine. But I mean, at the same time, I like to be like, why did you change, this? Why did, I'd like to like actually pick his brain as to see why these things were made. How do you feel about the possibility of Dino Crisis Remake being revealed at the PlayStation Showcase? Uh, I don't think it's going to be revealed that soon. I know Dino Crisis won the poll. We talked about that on the last episode of the podcast, I don't think we're going to see it that soon. Yeah, Jill says at the beginning of RE3, somehow that moron Brad is still alive. Yes. Love the community. Great content. Thank you, Seabash. What's up, Ant? Would you say the PS1 is still your favorite console of all time? Yeah, Nico. Fellow member Nico. What's up, man? Yeah, I would say PS1 is one of my favorites, but I also think one of the best eras in gaming, this kind of goes against what I just said, is the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox. We could even throw Dreamcast in there. Even though PS1 is still my favorite, I still think PS2, GameCube, Xbox, Dreamcast is like the golden era of gaming where we got games that were complete, we got games that were fun, that were new, that felt fresh, that weren't broken. We had the online stuff was just breaking in, so it was very early, but it was still very fun for the games that it did work for. I think it's a special time, and I'm very happy that I was growing up with that stuff and going to stores and buying games and playing it with friends and going to video stores and renting it. And I think there's something special about that. So yeah, I'm very grateful to kind of be a part of that. But yeah, the PS1 is still one of my favorites for sure. Tips for Dead Space 2 remake: make it scary. Love that game, but man, it wasn't scary at all. I love Dead Space 2 personally. That's one of my favorites for sure. But Dead Space remake apparently didn't hit the mark. So people are saying that the rumors weren't true. Who knows with EA? But if they do in fact scrap this Dead Space 2 remake thing, or if they did, or they will, or they already did, who knows? It's going to be very, very disappointing to see Dead Space kind of go away again, because I actually thought the remake was solid, So I think the recent rumors of that going away is a damn shame, in my opinion, because, yeah, that's it's a bummer. I like seeing these IPs come back. It was over 10 years since Dead Space was gone. It finally comes back with the remake, and people love the remake. But again, if it doesn't sell well, and this goes back to like these companies looking at numbers, and it's all a business, right? Same thing with the films. It's all a business. It's all money. And Dead Space remake didn't hit the mark for them. They're going to just pull the plug on the second one. As much as I would like them to continue, or whether it was with a Dead Space 4, or they're going to take this remake approach and just reconfigure, I guess, the whole franchise, and retell the story. I would have been down for it. I really like Dead Space 1 remake, so it's a shame if that's it. Fair enough. I'm feeling pretty strongly about it. Things are just lining up too perfectly after Exoprimal. I mean, that's truly on YouTube. I mean, I'll never say never. I mean, I think if it just won the poll, though, for games that people want to see return, and that was at the end of last year, I think it's a little too soon to see something. But I'm very excited for Dino Crisis to come back. Shadow Man, fellow member, what is up? And Nick Noguera with the $10 super chat. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that so much. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that. I love RE3 remake. I still can't understand that hate. it's just as good as Remake 2, in my opinion. I actually love Remake 3. I do enjoy Remake 3, like I said in my video that I did last month about it, you know. There is problems with it, though. I recognize that. I recognize the cut content and shit, but, you know, I still like RE3 Remake, yeah. Apologize if this has already been addressed, but are the Legacy Plus streams you did with John still up on your channel? Thanks. The Legacy Plus, the Legacy series is still up. That I know. So everything that we did in 2019, late 2019, up until Resident Evil 3 Remake, all that is up. The Legacy Plus series was a series that we never finished, and it never really stayed up to see the light of day again. So that's why they're not there. If you're wondering why they're there, they're not there. We never finished the Legacy Plus series, so yeah, I just didn't keep those. We didn't keep those up. The Legacy series, though, the Legacy Plus series was much of a blur for me, and I think John as well, because we were just like, I don't think we were in a condition to do that again, and so they're not up. But the Legacy series is up, and that's all up. So if you guys enjoyed both, that's fine. But the way I'm leaving it is just like the Legacy series is the best of that time for the live streaming. So that's why that's up. So it's all on the playlist. You can check it out on the channel. And yeah, if we don't get Dead Space 2 Remake, here's hoping we get Dead Space 4. They're not going to do Dead Space 4. That's the thing. If they pull the plug on this, man, it's over. You know, I was really disappointed to hear that Dead Space 2 sounds like it's got the axe. Really wanted Dead Space 2, brand new game, a la Dead Space 4 would have been very welcome. Yeah, it's just like, you know, I think EA, while EA has changed their ways, they're also not the same EA they were. And they're also the same EA that they were, right? So it's like they've changed people that were involved, but their business strategies haven't really changed much. They really haven't, you know. If they see something that's not doing well, it's just not going to get the legs for a sequel. It's not going to continue on. And in this era of survival horror where Resident Evil really knocked down the doors for a lot of these like remakes and these franchises to come back, even Alone in the Dark is kind of in this conversation too. And Alone in the Dark is another situation where it came out and I just don't think it sold like how they wanted it to. And it's a shame, because there is a lot of potential for Dead Space to continue, for Alone in the Dark to continue. And obviously, like, yeah, they might not sell Resident Evil numbers right out the gate, but at the same time, like, you know, we'll see what happens. I mean, Silent Hill 2 is supposed to be coming out, and same thing with that. Like, is Konami just going to put this out, and then if Silent Hill F doesn't do well either, like, is that it? Are we just going to see it fade away again? I don't want to see that. I want to see it successful. I want to see the fans turn out, and obviously, you know, they want to play a good game. But it even shows that sometimes, even when it's a remake, a beat-for-beat remake with some adjustments, sometimes it's even harder to kind of bend the ear a bit and let people know, like, hey, this is a good title to buy again. This is worth your money. You know, it's... I get it. A lot of people just some people prefer the original over the remake. So that's another thing, right? So it's like, are we going to see more of that pullback? And that's why these companies might not be gung-ho about bringing back all these franchises, or horror franchises specifically. I don't know. You know, thanks again, Nick Noguera, for the $10 super chat. Really appreciate that, buddy. Thank you. And thanks for still being a member. I'm just ready for an RE announcement. Yeah, Cooler. Hopefully we get something this summer. You know, hopefully with there's no E3 this year, but hopefully we get, whether it's a Sony event, a Capcom, or a Resident Evil stream, we could do something really cool. So, hey, good to see you back at the live stream. Live stream some RE soon. Yeah, so like I mentioned at the top of this stream, if you guys weren't in here for it, tomorrow I will be starting my Resident Evil 0 100% run. It's the first time I played Resident Evil 0 on this channel. Sorry, I had to sneeze. In like 4 years. So it's been a long time. And I'm not very good at it. But I have to get good because these trophies aren't going to get themselves. So I have to learn a lot about Zero, overcome the mechanics of Zero that I hate so much, which is the switching back and forth and leaving weapons on the floor, shit like that. Like, I'm gonna just have to get over. Horror fan for life says, I found a channel in 2014, I believe. I was going through a horrible breakup, and I believe I watched a Resident Evil movie Blu-ray unboxing or something. Anyway, always appreciated the content. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that people are still hanging around after all these years. To be honest with you, 14 years is nothing to sneeze at as far as doing something for almost 15 years. Facing down 20 years. So, yeah, definitely grateful for everybody that has followed me along the different eras and renditions of the channel. And, just know that it's always stayed the same as far as, loving Resident Evil and survival horror stuff. So, always kind of made that the bread and butter. And I'm happy that, if people can watch it and kind of, get a little distracted from, the everyday BS or the job or just random stuff that can happen to everybody out there. I'm very happy to do that because I have people that I watch that do the same for me. When I was going through stuff or have a lot on your mind, you could watch, whatever channel just to have a good time, be entertained, right? So really looking forward to Silent Hill F. I'm getting RE7 vibes from it in terms of going back to basics, the mystery, and I think it's going to be a bunch of new fans of the series. Yeah, I mean, I think Silent Hill needs to really do a good job. Obviously, the short message, that game that I played, I streamed for everybody on here. I did enjoy it, but it was kind of like a one and done for me. So as far as like where Silent Hill 2 and Silent Hill F leave fans, as far as, the taste in their mouths was kind of, tainted when PT got canceled, and obviously everything got completely, pachinko machined out for years. So hopefully Konami doesn't drop the ball and we could get something that, makes fans happy. And like I said, it has these games have to sell well if they're going to continue to invest in Silent Hill. I know they have all this roadmap stuff planned, but if it all comes out and it all bombs or doesn't do well, they're not going to keep investing money in this shit anymore. To be honest, might be what happened in the 2010s with horror movie remakes. Might be fatigue. Yeah, I think the topic of that is always an interesting one, right? Like, are we tired of remakes in the gaming world, and are we dry for new ideas? Well, I'll tell you this much. It is hard to find, no matter what console you're on, no matter what games you see coming out on all sides of the fence. I think a lot of the games now are kind of losing their identity in some ways, or don't know what they are, if they even can come out working. If they can come out where there isn't bugs, there isn't these, constant things that need fixing. But that, unfortunately, is the case with a lot of these games. Favorite RE bonus game mode? I would have to say the Mercenaries, Operation Mad Jackal, right next to RE4 Remake Mercenaries is one of my favorites. RE5 Mercenaries as well. Those are like my top 3. Extreme Battle Mode in RE2. And the Battle Mode in the Saturn version is cool too. Ooh, RE0, damn, that game is going to be annoying with the item drops. Yeah, man. I have to just face the annoyance, embrace the rage that will happen when I play Resident Evil 0, and you guys will be along for the ride. What's up, Mountain Arts, a.k.a. Purple Herb? It's a beautiful day outside. It is. It is very nice over here. Which Resident Evil game, or what game would you recommend that is similar to Resident Evil? That's a good question. Similar to Resident Evil, I mean, there's a lot that I could recommend. You know, I would say a lot. It depends on what era of Resident Evil you're thinking of. The obvious one is like, you know, Silent Hill. The first 3 are always a great way to kind of be introduced to a different type of a game that's a little more psychological horror. You know, there's Deep Fear as well. No relation to Cold Fear. Deep Fear on the Sega Saturn is very Resident Evil-esque. You do have Cold Fear as well, which I recently played, which is very fun. And there's also Alone in the Dark, or Alone in the Dark: The New Nightmare, which is the PS1 version of that, aka I forget what they would call it, but that one was like, you know, I think it came out in 2001 or 2000, so it was kind of a direct answer to what Resident Evil was doing at the time, but you know, then it got switched around a little bit. Tormented Souls is another great game it's a more modern fixed camera angle game. I'm scared, bro. What are your thoughts of Silent Hill 2 remake flops? I would just say Godspeed to Silent Hill, because it never really catches a break, it seems, in the last decade or so. So I don't know how long that will stick around. Azure Eyes, what's up, brother? Fellow member and composer for this channel. I have a Nintendo X Station, never going back. Yeah, man. I was gonna say a lot of times it's nice to have shit like that. We're just like, all right, there's no need for me to go back now. This is good enough. Matthew Durez says, if the recent Metal Gear Solid remaster are an indication, I'm not expecting Silent Hill 2 remake to be on the same level as RE2 remake. It will probably just be okay. Well, as far as like a remake, not just a remaster, Silent Hill 2 is, you know, remade from the ground up, so you have a lot of there's a lot of potential there for, you know, a lot of mistakes, but a lot of things to be also done right. So I just hope that they get it down. Neo says RE5, 6, and 4 mercs. Remake mercs. Well, they will remake 5 and 6 mercs probably eventually, but we'll see. Fortnite ruined the gaming industry. Well, you know, I think Fortnite is a, you know, it exists. It's there. It's, you know, it keeps people playing, you know, these battle royale multiplayer type games. But yeah, it's you know, it's just kind of there. You know, it does. A lot of people that buy these consoles, these are the games that they're playing. They're not really playing exclusives. They're not playing, you know, all this other stuff. So yeah, I'm people like what they like, right? But might be annoying with item drops, but damn, it's the environment. But damn, is the environment great in Zero, which for me makes up for any negatives. Yeah, I mean, I think when I do this, Quentin, when I do this run of Zero and do 100% and I play it to shit, like literally play it over and over and over and over and over again and get good at it, or I try to get good, I think I might come out on the other side appreciating Zero a little bit more. And at least that's my goal, I guess, right, is to just see if I can appreciate it a little bit more going in and dealing with some of the stuff. So we'll see what happens. QLR is looking forward to Tormented Souls 2. Needs more improving over the first game now that they tested the game went well. Yeah. Tormented Souls 2, I'm excited. I'm all in. I'll definitely be streaming that. And I did enjoy the first one. I thought the first one was very challenging. The puzzles were very hard, actually. Shout out to Eamon if she's in the chat, but she helped my ass like a lot on that playthrough. Horror Fans of Zero is an underrated gem. Beat it again a few months ago and loved every minute. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've even played it in general. Played it on the channel, so definitely like the fact that the RE1 atmospheric conditions carry over in RE0. Yeah, I think they definitely it has that very warm, kind of dim lit, remake kind of vibe right over to Zero, and I think the graphics are still great in Zero. Missed you, man. Get ready for the next 2 months. Yeah. It's gonna be crazy, man. It's gonna be a crazy next couple of months for sure as far as content here on LTRE. Putting out Keeper's Diary finally in the next few weeks, like I said. What's up, Ryan Fain, fellow member? I like the Wesker mode and the remaster of Zero. Yeah, that's another one I'm gonna have to play for you guys. So, like I said, it's forcing me to not only get the trophies and achievements that I like to get, because I'm crazy and I like to 100% games in general, but this will also give me a reason to create a video about it, just kind of documenting my experiences with Resident Evil Zero, 100%ing it, all the face palming, the raging that could happen. I think that's part of it. It's part of that. Like, it's cool to see the skills get better, the attempts get better, and I want to do the same thing with Code Veronica. Code Veronica does have multiple platforms it's on. There is the trophies on PlayStation. There's the achievements on the Xbox 360 version. So playing Wesker and R0 was so badass. Yeah, I want to showcase all the modes. I want to, like I said, I want to do it 100%. I want to do it right. I think there is a guide I can follow as well. I kind of used a guide to see like the best way to get the most trophies in each kind of run, like those kind of guides, not like watching a guide while I'm playing the game, but like actually seeing which trophies or achievements I can check off the list with as little as playthroughs as possible, so I don't double play anything or make it harder for myself. What can I tackle first? So that's what I'm probably going to do. I kind of did that on the last end of the remake 100% streams, and now remake is just like done and dusted. It's good. I didn't really record my progress with that or anything like that because RE remake I've done, like I said, 3 times at this point. The PS3 and the PS4 count as one, and then I have the Xbox One and the Xbox 360. All of the achievements done. So remake is good to go. I don't really go for Steam achievements, so there's that, but I do have some on there from that. But the goal here is just to do them on the platforms that I always play on. So I always switch between PlayStation and Xbox. I play both. I get both achievements and trophies. So this will be an ultimate hunt, I guess, and to see what happens. And I might get 100% of the trophies and say, you know what, guys, I want to take a break from Zero and then come back around to the achievements, the next time I do 100%. But I might just go all the way through and say, you know what, like this time I can approach it better. I know what I'm doing this time. Like the second time around, if I do another attempt or 2 attempts at Zero, it's going to be a lot more easier, hopefully the second time. So the first one is going to be a lot more of a challenge. So, but yeah, I think it'll be cool to document and to make a little video that will just kind of be edited as I go along. And then whenever it's done, like whenever these months of grinding are done, however long it takes, hopefully it doesn't take that long, but hopefully it gets done. And I can put it in a video, wrap it up in a video for you guys and show you the progress of Zero. And man, the most frustrating Resident Evil game, probably Umbrella Corps. That's one of them. What's up, Sweet Trim? Says, what's going on? Hope you and Callie are good and all safe. Yes, man, we are good. Callie's working right now. but we're doing good. Everything's well, and hope everything's going well over there in the UK as I won't be around this summer for the festivities, but you know, maybe sometime soon. Doing any more voting for first time horror games? Yeah, so um, there's going to be a poll that goes out before the end of this week. That will be for members and Patreon supporters, and you will be able to vote on the next horror game. Like I said, the last one that won was Cold Fear. The one before that was Parasite Eve. So there might be a Parasite Eve 2 in there. There might be a Silent Hill 3 in there. Maybe a couple more to kind of switch it up or try to follow up on ones that I've already played as well, because I don't want to ignore some of the sequels that need to be gone through. I know a lot of people are wanting to see me play Silent Hill 3. I only ever played the first couple hours of it, so I don't really know what to expect in Silent Hill 3. And of course, Parasite Eve 2, I've never played. I've only seen gameplay, very much like Parasite Eve 1, and Parasite Eve 1 was a blast. So I'm excited to play something new as well. So again, when I'm doing these 100% series, there's also going to be the new horror game that gets voted on as well. That will be also going on simultaneously. And of course, there is still the Master Series, which I also wanted to bring up on this stream. Resident Evil 2, the original, is going to be the next game in the Master Series. And it is going to be pistols only, no herb mixtures. So that's going to be the stipulation for Resident Evil 2, the original. That will be happening this week as well. So yeah, couple Resident Evil streams going on this week, and yeah, we're just gonna keep the ball rolling with that stuff. And Zero was the last RE game that really to really feel like what it feels like to fall in love. As far as much as I love 4 and onwards remakes, it still makes me a little sad. I think I see what you're saying. Like, that was the last time Resident Evil was captured in a certain way, in a certain light. And I remember that when, Shinji Mikami was interviewed about Zero, the reason why they, switched up those things in Zero is because they felt like the audience was going to get bored, was getting bored of the same old, like, Resident Evil style games. And obviously we see how they changed in 4, clearly. But Zero and them, changing the items and dropping stuff on the floor and the partner system, they did that because they thought fans were getting a little bored. So Fatal Frame also almost won, Kular, in the poll. It did not win, but it was very close. And it lost 2 times, I think, at this point. But yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Horror Fan. But yeah, it's... they did those changes for a reason. So I think, everyone has their opinions on what era they like better. We'll see. Jaffa Cake. True fans never get tired of tank controls and old school horror. Well, I mean, I think some of us just, we just like the certain things that we like, and I can appreciate all different attempts that they've done, through the years. It would be cool if they remade 0. Probably not, but maybe in the future after 5 and Code Veronica or whatever else they want to remake. Yeah, I mean, if they ever remake the first game, I think 0 needs to be, considered. If they don't do it its own game, maybe they could do some kind of DLC or something. But I know that will be controversial too, because, what are they going to cut? What are they going to keep, So, when Chris punched a boulder, it was from frustration. We all have been there when we've been stress punching a wall, not just expect to knock the wall down, just to be frustrated. Well, that's a good way to look at it. It's a positive way of pushing it. Java cakes in the U.S., or am I just bad teeth? Mary Poppins, cup of tea, uncultured British swine. No. So these are imported, brother. So you're not wrong. I know it's kind of weird to see these in the U.S., right? Oh, man. Oh, wow. We got a super chat here. Serving Zombies with a $10 super chat. New to your content. Love the honesty. You look like a dude I used to talk Resident Evil with in high school. Now, if you don't mind, hit us with the Steve Burnside. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I failed you. I failed. I'm sorry, Claire. There you go. Well, Serving Zombies, thank you for the $10 super chat. And, it's cool. I think welcome to the channel as well if you're new to the channel. It's always cool to be on here to, jump on here and just chat and shoot the shit with everybody. And, obviously I have some close friends that love Resident Evil, as well, just as much as I do. But it's also cool to expand and to meet the community online. And it's almost like we all just have our own little club, our own little community here that, has been growing, like I said, since 2010, really. So it's been very, very fun to, meet everybody from all different ways, from the UK to China to the States to, literally like Turkey, freaking India. Seriously, there's people all over that come into the chat that are just, really supporters. And again, not only just monetarily, that doesn't even really matter as much as it's just people that always return and always come back to the conversation. So, it's always a good time. John says, sorry I haven't been on the last couple of streams. It's been a difficult time, but I'm supporting you and the channel, my friend. Oh, well, John, sorry to hear about your passing, brother. My condolences and, sending good vibes your way. That's a lot, man, to deal with after the holidays. So no worries. We're always here for you. And just like I mentioned, that's what we're here for. It's like, even if you, don't have a big support system, or you need a place to just chill out for a little bit, that's what the community's for, it's all good. So sorry to hear that, John. One of many Johns in the chat room, but this John doesn't have a last name. But John, hopefully you're doing as good as you can. I know it takes time, and those things are rough. So much love to John in the chat, and we're here for you, buddy. So why was the villain in 0 dressed like a dude out of Final Fantasy? I never understood that. I don't know why that was the wardrobe choice. I don't know why, and why the opera singing. I think there's a lot of there's many of what the fuck moments in Resident Evil, and that is definitely one of them. So yeah, I am not very sure on that decision making, but yeah, definitely gonna pray for you and your family, man. Sorry for your loss, and thanks for still being here, man. And like I said, we're all here for you. So, You can shoot the shit with us in the chat. You can also join the Discord as well if you ever want to hang out in a server, talk to some other fellow RE fans, and, more members of the RE family are always on there. So, yeah, man. And, I don't know some of these decisions that Capcom makes with some of these designs or some of these, like, choices, I guess. Yeah, sometimes leave me scratching my head. But it is what it is, right? You gotta. Some things work and some things don't work. Japanese devs were focused on catering to the Western sensibilities back then. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the hell. No problem, John. No worries at all. Yeah, I mean, it's now I think with Capcom, it's more of a, it's a choice of, what are they gonna, continue to have in their games that doesn't, kind of back them into a corner, I guess, because they've been kind of on a roll. Like, I know, like, Dragon's Dogma kind of had a rough launch, but, they've been doing pretty good so far. It was never spoken of again. Tons of retcons in the series. Yeah, exactly. I like to decide myself what I canon or not. For example, RE5 Blonde Jill and Spencer Mansion did not happen to me. What are you talking about? Like the mansion that they find Wesker in, like the other Spencer Mansion. Well, she wasn't blonde in that flashback, because that was before she got captured by Wesker. But I love Lost in Nightmares. I think it is canon and it did happen. And I think if they did Lost in Nightmares again, that should be the intro to Resident Evil 5. So it sets up the stuff perfectly. This is off topic from Ari, but I recently found out the reason for buying a PS5 Pro. It's GTA 6. And it's going to be on PC right away, and people are going to want to play it on the I know, Leon, but it's just so... I'm just tired of these pro consoles and all this crap. It's just... I know they're going to do it. It's just annoying that they are. RE game set in Japan. I think it needs to be done. Yeah, I know, right? It hasn't been done. Serving Zombies says, I spent a lot of time trying to justify the dumb stuff from Rebecca to have a conclusion between 0 and 1 and the Leech Queen loving the music of its master. Yeah, and the connections between 0 and Remake don't make any actual sense. Rebecca doesn't mention any of those events to any of the characters. Like, there's no, like, continuity there that is really... that makes sense. Now, if they remake the first one again, and they remake 0 again at some point, if they did, they could easily make those connections, Mr. Pedro says, did you watch the new Fallout series? I haven't yet. I actually want to check it out. I have Amazon Prime, so I don't have an excuse not to. Where most of the services I don't subscribe to because it's just a waste of money and I can just download them. But Amazon Prime I do have because I think everybody and their mom has Prime at this point. And a lot of people are like, look, this is how you could do the video game series right. And, I'm not going to be surprised if it is very good when I watch it because everyone's been putting it over. I'm not into Fallout like that. I've played a couple of the games for a couple hours, but never got too far into it to, like, know the lore and the story. And I know that this takes place in a part of the timeline. You don't have to watch or know everything, previously from Fallout. So I might go into it with that perspective, but I still want to check it out. I don't know when Xbox is going to release their Pro consoles, but it isn't. Well, they're not going to be. So, Leon, the way Microsoft is approaching it is they're just going to come out with new consoles in 2026, like the new console. PlayStation 5 already said that, or Sony already said that PlayStation 5 is towards end of life as well, which means that they're also going to be moving on soon. So they're probably going to drop the Pro, and then we're going to get new consoles in 2026, 2027. This console generation has been a joke on both Sony and Microsoft's side, and if you don't see that, then I don't know what else to say. But I play on both. I own Xbox and I own PS5 and I play on PC, so I have a perspective on everything as far as like where I'm going to go. And obviously, in the next couple of months, I'm going to get this PC built and I'll be up to date on that. But yeah, I mean it's not looking good for Microsoft. It's not looking good for Sony since they said they don't have any games at all until sometime next year probably. Like we have what we're getting this year, like Stellar Blade's coming out in a week or this week, so that'll be fun. But Microsoft doesn't have much going on either, and the stuff that is coming out in 30 frames, and it's just not looking good on either side of the coin. So Nintendo is the winner of this gen, and it's funny is because they haven't even come out with a new console yet. They don't have to. Nintendo's just laughing all the way to the bank. So Nintendo actually wins this gen. And they didn't even have to lift a finger for a new console, which they're going to do in, early 2025. But R-rated live action movie is being made finally. TMNT is tied with RE as my favorite. Oh, yeah, I did hear about the TMNT film. But who knows, because that can easily change. That rated R. I think Rambo did a video about it, and I agree with what he said. Like, a lot of times these ideas are spoken about, but then it never actually happens. Serving Zombie says, if they remake 1 again, I hope we get the best ending that everyone gets out, unless Barry or Rebecca pulled a Wesker and ran home. I agree, Serving Zombies. Yeah, we don't have an ending where everybody escapes on the helicopter. There's always Rebecca missing from Jill, and there's always, Barry missing from Chris. Those stories. So yeah, we need an actual remake where everybody leaves. Rebecca beats a tyrant in 0 and gets cornered by a hunter in 1. Yeah, exactly, Neo. Those inconsistencies could be fixed in a remake, so to speak. Yo, Ant, what's up? Bit of a dry period for Resident Evil fans, huh? Hopefully that changes in the next couple of months. I hope so too, Najib. That's why I'm just kind of doing my own thing, just trying to work on my own content and live streams and wait for the official Resident Evil stuff to start moving again. But yeah, it's definitely a dry period for sure. It's near impossible to grow this channel right now. But again, maybe that's on me. So I'm trying my best. But yeah, it's very hard when there isn't a Resident Evil push. So that's why I got to start thinking about other things to work on as well. That are, that include more of like a third channel approach where it's another gaming channel where I just kind of cover and talk about everything. And some of that stuff is already in the works, but like I said, I don't like to say anything or jinx anything until I'm actually doing it. So that's why there hasn't been a name or a channel name or anything to what I'm going to be doing as well. It's not going to put anything, it's not going to stop anything on this channel or my film channel, but it will just be more to the pie that I'm just trying to add. GTA 6 will be playable on both consoles, the Series X and the PS5. It probably won't run as good as it will on the PS5 Pro. That's what we're saying. It'll still run, but it'll probably run in 30 frames, not 60. Back from RE0 versus RE1 is hilarious. Just prove money talks. Yeah. Well, they had to do a prequel story and make it work somehow. Even a great PG-13 Last Ronin movie will be great. So I'm hyped either way. Yeah, I mean, I just want it to actually happen. Because a lot of times these movies are happening, quote unquote, and then they don't end up happening. So, like, as much as I think it would be cool to see Last Ronin, I think they have to, who are they casting? Who are they, who is going to be involved in this, this type of storytelling? Because I think that's a big one. And that's the thing, too. The problem is, Leon YouTube, is that Series X is... The problem is that it is a more, like, on paper, it is a more powerful machine than the PlayStation 5. We could just end that argument right here. But the problem is that the Series X isn't utilized correctly by these developers, and they're basically stopping it at, making these games run at 30. So where the PS5 does checkerboarding 4K, it doesn't do true 4K. The Series X does true 4K, but the problem is the developers are refusing to put out games that run in full 60 frames, full 4K. I recognize this. I'm not a Xbox fanboy. I'm not a PlayStation fanboy. I'm just a gamer. But I will say this is that the developers are screwing themselves. Microsoft is screwing themselves, making these games not run like they should, because the Series X does have the potential to do so, and it's not being utilized. And the PS5 is already at end of life, so it's already hitting walls on its console. Even though I do think something like Stellar Blade runs absolutely beautiful. That demo runs great. But there's no excuse. There's no reason why I should spend, $500 something on a console and it doesn't do what it's advertised. It should run everything in 60 frames, and it does for the most part with some older games. But a lot of the new games that are coming out from Microsoft on the Xbox side of things are running in 30 frames, and for me, that's like no bueno. If we're not supposed to be in 2013. We're supposed to be in 2024. So I think they're going to slowly pull out of the console stuff, in the next couple of years. They might do one more new console, and then that will be it. So it's a shame to see where gaming has been. Gaming's been in a very depressing spot, and every week I talk about this every Wednesday on Game Complainers, and it seems to not be getting any better. So, I don't like to be the bearer of bad news. I don't like to look at my consoles and say, what the hell did I spend my money on? But I think PC is going to be the big way to go with a lot of these games going forward, with knowing, if you're not getting ripped off or not, or, there's ways when you have a PC you can try before you buy, if you know what I mean. You could save money. There's always sales. You don't got to pay for a subscription service. So I think PC is going to be more of the way to go in between this gen and next gen. And according to Microsoft and Sony, this gen is on its last leg. So we just have to be prepared, and we have to vote with our wallets. And we just have to be aware of what's going on. So I just want to let that be known. I'm not trying to put false information out there. I'm trying to tell the facts. You know what I mean? So I don't like the idea of Wendigo and Witches in RE9, Sachi. I really don't. That's why I just think a lot of that stuff has just been, it's just tired, Yeah, I would like a live action dark TMNT for sure. I would say sometime this summer, Najib. I mean, I would say whether it's a PlayStation event, Capcom, or Resident Evil event, I would like to see something happen sometime this summer. TMNT is the most tonally inconsistent series ever. The contrast between The Last Ronin and the Turtles in Time is going to be amazing. Yeah, they do have different tone switches, that's for sure. Maybe RE5 will give us running zombies like the OG trailer. You never know. You never know. We'll see what they do. I think they'll do that. Still want a live-action R-rated Sin City-style black and white movie based on the Mirage comics. Hopefully one day. Yeah, maybe. Not that's a bad thing. It's just hilarious, says Leon. Jeff M says, for 11 months, 2024, year of conquering the backlog, says Jeff M. What's up, Jeff M? Being a member for 11 months. Almost that solid year on the membership. I love it. Games take too long and cost too much to make these days. Developers have to play it safe. Gaming is not what it used to be. No, exactly, man. And I've been on record with being, a savage and just saying that I think these these developers that get paid, 6-figure salaries and they can't get it right, and then they're going to sit there and complain about crunching and overtime, and we can't even get a complete title. We can't even get a complete game, I think that's very, very sad in many ways. And I think there's just no excuse that, we're spending, $75 on these games, give or take, right? Sometimes $100 they're charging for their complete editions. And we're sitting here and we're getting, pretty much just the shitty end of the stick, because they're like, oh, well, they bought it again. They'll buy it. No worries, right? And then here we are just getting completely, we're getting completely screwed over. So I think that needs to be a big thing where voting with your wallets is going to be an important thing to look at. Because it needs to, we really have to put our foot down, and that's why I think PC is going to be the way to go up and coming. If you're into PC or you're getting into building a PC, that's probably the way to go for some of these games to kind of, bounce back a little bit, save some money, and you do save a lot of money on PC as time goes on. So, if they made an RE in Japan, I'd get Siren game. Siren's another one I gotta check out. Happy to be here, brother. Love this channel. Thank you, Jeff M. If I remember originally, RE5 did have runnings. It did. It did. Let's see. What's your take on content creators who praise literally every game? Thanks for being honest. So, I think that's a big problem. I think when it comes to, content creation and stuff like that. I think there's creators that do like the constant the the toxic positivity, right, or whatever you want to call it, where it's like you just like everything. It's like not, I know sometimes these guys on YouTube, they get, sent things early, and you know they talk about things in a positive way because they don't want to lose their, deals or their sponsors, but they need money for screw. Yeah, exactly. It's just it's a shame because you're doing your fans a disservice. You're not properly talking about a game. You're just, you know, everything's positive, everything's fine, and sometimes you have to call these companies out on their bullshit. Whether it's Capcom, whether it's Rockstar, whether it's Naughty Dog, whether it's whatever, the list goes on. We're talking to games, it's like sticking to games here specifically. You could even bring up movies, but I think my main thing is like I've always taken pride in being honest here. It doesn't matter if I'm a Capcom creator. It doesn't matter if I'm all these things, but there is people online that just it's all positive all the time, and sometimes it's not, and sometimes it's either like way too negative or way too positive, and there's nothing ever in between. There's no one ever just like meeting you in the middle, being honest, and saying, oh, like some of the stuff is good, but this is actually like pretty bad as far as like what I've experienced as a gamer, or what I played as a gamer all these years. Like whatever the case may be, like you could say whatever. It's not it's not good. It just makes content creators look bad. It makes people like myself look bad because we look like a bunch of fucking jobbers sitting here just saying what people want to hear. Where I think other gamers or gaming channels on YouTube that cover your mainstream titles, right? Your Call of Duties, your Fortnite DLCs, your whatever. Like some of that shit, there has to be nuggets of actual bad crap in there, and we're not acknowledging it. And I think, there's too much of that going on, where everyone's afraid to lose their sponsorship or to lose like them getting the game early, where I would lose that in a heartbeat if it meant just me being honest with it. The one thing I like about, like I said, I'm in the Capcom Creators Program. I have been for a couple of years now, and they never tell me what to say, what I can't say. Like, they can send me stuff and I just play it, and that's how I feel about it. There's no, like obviously if I do a review before a game comes out, yeah, there's things I can't show in the review that will spoil stuff, right? For example, but even something like Resident Evil 4, they didn't even give that game out early like that because it got leaked early, and idiots, don't know how to fucking handle the shit that was sent to them. So, without getting too far into that, give me a fucking break, Um, um, yeah, it's just it sucks. Will we ever get voice acting as perfect as the RE1? No, that's peak perfection. Never asked, do you have any Fangoria magazines? I think I have one or two hanging around, but I never got into them. You know, magazines take up a lot of space, and I do like some of my video game stuff, and I don't have, yeah, it's just a lot to do horror magazines. As much as I like them, you know. Kular wants a Chucky video game. Wow, what a mansion. John the Painter says PS1 and PS2 were the best for me. New game series every year or every other year. Innovation was there, and the generation leap meant something. Yeah, exactly, John. It was just different back then. It was just different. Those RE5 zombies, even though, what the hell? Oh, the rider Maginis on the motorcycle. Oh yeah. How can I forget? It's too cheesy, Anthony. What's up, Perry? Um, yeah. Hope it's not Chris's blood, right? Yeah. It sucks, you know, and so I think there's people online, and me and Perry talk about this too. You know, but whether it's gaming or companies or, you know, you just got to call people out on it, and you gotta, you know, I think there's a toxic positivity that goes into this YouTube thing now, where everybody's got to make videos and say something nice, and you know they got to act like the house isn't burning down around them, whether it's a company or it's, you know, a certain, you know, game developer. It's like we have to talk about the facts here, because, you know, the gamers or the fans are going to see through stuff eventually. You know, you can't just keep putting out content that is, you know, fake stuff, fake reactions, you know, fake responses, fake reviews of, like, you know, all this crap. So, you know, yeah, sometimes you got to be like Doc Ock, and you got to, you know, smack a bitch in the face with the Doc Ock tentacle. You know, that's what happened. You know, he smacked the scientist. He didn't like it, and he fell backwards. And the power of the sun is in the palm of his hands. What's up, Brandon? Xbox and AEW fans, everything's fine. Nothing is wrong. House is on fire. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's what I was saying before you guys joined. Like, it's you got to call people out. You got to vote with your wallet, and I think people are going to start doing that. And the more people kind of put out these videos or podcasts or these, you know, these I don't know what you want to call them, like these rallies of like, oh, you know, this is fine though. Like, we still have this, and this to look forward to. It's like you're just like, yeah, you're making content, but you're not addressing what needs to be addressed. You know, I remember Demons. What is this? Oh, sorry, Demons. I remember Demons. I remember the demos showing how great the graphics were. Yeah, I mean, you know, demos need to come back in a big way. I think one demo that I played it, I think 2 times at this point, was the Stellar Blade demo. I really enjoyed that demo, because it wasn't just like a short little intro demo. It was like, no, here's the intro, and here's a little bit of the exploring. And I really enjoyed that. Stellar Blade was a cool little example of a demo back then that would be like, it would just never end. Joavos could also pilot tanks and helicopters. Yes. Never forget the Joavos from RE6, the most terrible progression of from what became the Ganados to the Maginis to the Joavo. That was horrible. It's the influencer generation. They got free stuff, so they praise whatever it's sent to them, and they get more free stuff, as you have already said. Yeah, exactly. That's why, you know, like, yeah, I refuse to ever, you know, the day that somebody says that you can't do something, you can't express, you know, your true feelings about that, you know, I just think it's so silly, because, yeah, you're kind of getting yourself in a, you know, like boxing yourself into a corner. And I also don't think that there's going to be, you know, well, I think the bubble burst. I mean, I think at this point it already has. I think you know, the influencer generation, like I said, it reigns strong on all these social media things. So, what's your honest opinion on Alone in the Dark? It helps me if I want to play it. I actually really like Alone in the Dark. I would probably give it a 7 out of 10. maybe after the updates now and some of the fixes. I thought the storytelling was really good. It is a slower burn of a game, but I did really enjoy it. I think they did a good job at balancing the detective kind of slowed down puzzle solving with the combat. The combat gets a little janky if there's multiple enemies, like more than 3 enemies out there, so it's a little weird. However, I did really enjoy the acting. I thought the graphics are actually very well done, and I'd like to replay it. Early 2000s demos, hell yeah. Spidey 2 tonight, yes. Spider-Man 2. Which is crazy because Spider-Man 1 made like $600,000, which for a movie that's, from 2002, that just shows how crazy it is. Bring back the demos. What's up, Eddie? Yeah, bring them back. And again, some games have them. You do see them put on the store and stuff like that. But the demos are, they're digital now. You can just easily download them. And I think we do need more demos for some of these games because you just want to know what you're getting yourself into. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like, we just want to see what the hell, like what are we spending 75 plus tax on, or sometimes $100, $120 for all these editions. Like, what the fuck? Jeff M says FF16, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, and Stellar Blade are all good demos in the last year. All had good demos, rather. Yeah, no, they did. At least for Stellar Blade, it did. I can't speak for Final Fantasy, but yeah, Stellar Blade, that thing runs smooth as butter, and it's very fun. It's actually it's not my style of game, but for some reason, I really enjoyed playing what I played. And whether or not it's worth full price, I don't know. It's probably not a full price game for me. Like, I could probably wait for a price drop, but it depends. Like, if I really need something to play, there's really nothing coming out right now. Obviously we have, Hellblade, but that's already announced that it's going to run in 30 frames and 900p and everything. So I don't really know how to feel about that. So I might put my time elsewhere, or might just still do what I like to do here and just stream other games, stream older games, constantly going backwards, I feel like, just to find pieces of good gaming, right? It's like gaming is in a weird spot right now, so I find the need to constantly go backwards and experience stuff from 2004 or whatever. So naming your newborn kids Ari, oh my god, it's horrible. Do you think devs that actually dictate what can and can't be said for criticizing? There might be some. I think there might be some devs that, tell people they can't say certain things, maybe, but there also needs to be a fine line of, like, if they're critiquing it, if they're a critic, quote-unquote critic, right? Like, why are you going to put, like, the only limitations that should be on those reviews is, like, spoilers and, like, not crossing the lines with, like, telling the story because you want people to buy the game. Those are the only guidelines that should ever be in this scenario. It shouldn't be like, oh, well, you can't say that, the camera angle sucks because of this, and that. Or you can't say, that there's an issue with, like, switching these weapons. Or, like that is when it becomes, like, not only is the person already a fake shell of a critic, but now they're also they're bending the knee to this, like, dumb, like, restricted review, which at that point nobody's gonna, like, at that point people are gonna watch a live stream of someone playing the game, and that's gonna be their true ticket of, like, do I want to get this? Like, how many times have people watched one of my live streams and said, you know what, this game's good, I'm actually gonna get it now? A lot. This happens to my channel, happens to Perry's channel, happens to maybe one of your channels out there. You've been playing a game and it sells someone on the game, and it's just because you're just streaming it, you're just playing it. There's no, like, premeditated footage or pre-tampered with footage, and then you have the script and everything like that. There's nothing wrong with, like, typing up a script for a review. I've done that before. But as far as a corporate script that they say, all right, read this and it has to be like this and we have to do it like this, it doesn't work, and you could see right through it. So, How drunk do you think Barry was in RE1? Dropping the rope, examining the floor. Barry was not expecting to be caught. You know, probably very drunk, especially if his family was being kidnapped and he knew about it. Yeah, I think he did not show up with his head on his shoulders. Now I've done it. I think more demos are a good idea with how expensive games are getting as well. Yeah. Aaron says demo discs with magazine. Good things. Good those were. God, those were the days. The old PlayStation ones, good time. Yeah, I still have boatloads and boatloads of PlayStation demos over here and magazines and, PlayStation Undergrounds. I have a bunch of those and jam packs and that's a whole thing that just a whole era that I am very happy that I grew up in. Even with the PS2 demos, all that stuff. Dreamcast demos, all that stuff. I mean, we're not going to ever go back to the discs, but man, now is an easier time than ever to just be like, all right, we're just going to beam up a demo, and we want it to be a good representation of what we're trying to charge you $70 plus tax on, or $80, whatever it is, because all these games have like 4 different editions. Now, does Stellar Blade do a good job at selling the game? Absolutely, because it gives you everything in that little intro cutscene, and you see what happens with Taki, and you see what happens with her friend, and she gets her arm ripped off, she gets stabbed and everything, and then you jump into this whole, other world of like, oh, well, now you can explore, and now you can go back, and now you can find, different things and different items to look for, and the skill tree looks impressive, and you sold me on the game, basically. You basically gave me something that runs great, looks great, has very good visuals, and some good storytelling, very anime-esque, which I like. I actually like that, you know what I mean? I do think some of the Japanese stories can obviously run parallel sometimes. They can kind of get lost in the shuffle with some of the original ideas and concepts, right? Just being a fan of anime, I can tell you that for sure, as any other fan could tell you that. But I would say that with what I experienced with that demo, I was like, okay, that's how you do a fucking demo. And I can't speak for the Final Fantasy demos, but again, I know fans were marking out for that, and people love the new Final Fantasy Rebirth. So, I'm not into Final Fantasy. I never was into Final Fantasy like that. I'm not trying to be ignorant. I just haven't explored and tapped into that realm to be like, I want to go through. Because again, I'm not really into the RPG type stuff. That's not what I dive into, what I jump into. But again, sometimes when you see stuff come out like the demos and they actually are effective, you're just like, yeah, why don't we get more of that? Because Resident Evils typically have a demo coming out, right? Like when they release their games, they always put out some kind of demo, some kind of playable thing that people can get their hands on. And Capcom always actually did a really good job with their demos. I mean, say what you want, but I love the 7 demo with the dummy finger. That was such a great nostalgic kind of demo now that I go back and think fondly on, because I was simply live streaming on PlayStation 4 back then, because live streaming was, newer to YouTube. I didn't have everything set up for live streaming, but I live streamed through the PS4 app, and I got 300 people watching me at one time. It was the most I ever got people watching one stream at the time. Since then, we've passed those numbers, thankfully, with some Resident Evil events and releases and stuff. But at the time, I was new to live streaming, and I just remember we were trying, all different ways to, see what the dummy finger can do, and we were trying different things that, to experiment with, this demo that was so short, but we were trying all these different things. And I just remember the interaction with the chat, and I was reading the chat, and that was my first real live stream experience where I was oh, this is why people like the live streaming thing. And at the time, Twitch was the main live streaming. YouTube just got live streaming. This is brand new. You could live stream, and then you can also make videos. But yeah, basically, it's a good memory that I have, because that's what got RE back on the map, obviously, between that demo and 7. And then even, Village, where it had the Maiden demo, and you play this separate scenario that, you're in the basement of the castle, little things like that. Say what you want about the final product in the game. We all know how I feel about it, but I still think some of those ideas for demos are really cool, and it is a lost thing that some companies or developers should kind of get on. I know sometimes the way they think is like, you're not going to play it until we say it's done, until we say it's like it's gone gold, it's completely done. And even when it goes gold, they still have to update things now, because they could just update it day one and fix what they need to fix. But you get what I'm saying. I just think that, like, now where people's money, are just kind of being wasted on some of these games that don't necessarily have the impact that they used to, we do need to see a comeback of demos more consistently, I feel. I'm not saying they went away. I know they've always been around, with this, digital era of demos, but I think it's more necessary with some of these games now. Leon says RE7 demos what got him into RE. That's crazy. My brother was with me and said it's like this game wants me to die, and was like, yeah, the game is called Resident Evil. Yeah, no, that's cool, man. And again, I saw a lot new fans that came onto this channel around that time. I saw a lot of new fans come into Resident Evil around that time. It definitely was a solid time for Resident Evil, and just my channel specifically, because it got people excited again. Because after Resident Evil 6, it just went through such a dark period. Capcom went through a dark period. And even this channel, like, didn't go through a dark period, but, like, it came to the point where all the Resident Evil stuff came to a screeching halt. And I was sitting here making podcast episodes with people, and we were talking, like, what's going to happen? We don't know what's going to happen. What the hell just happened? Like, RE6 got done, and we were just like, it just, like, smacked us in the face with just, like, a piece of bad. And we're like, what the fuck? What just happened? And we're kind of left to our own devices, wondering what the hell are they going to do? Are they going to go bankrupt? Are they going to make it out of this slump? And they did. They did. They really did. They turned it around. So I'm not, I think now the gaming stuff, it's a weird spot. It's a very sad, like I said, Capcom is the one company, and we say this on the Game Complainers every week. Capcom's the one company that's been doing it consistently, that's been delivering stuff at a more rapid fire pace, and stuff's been good. What's up, Matthew Webster? So I think as soon as more companies, and I think some of these, I don't want to sound like a weeb here, but again, a lot of these Japanese companies, they know what they got to do, and they get done. They don't complain, they don't bitch about working conditions. They fucking work, and they get the shit done, man. Like, they get it done. They get paid a fuck ton of money to do so, and they get it done. Dragon's Dogma 2 was, the first little flub when they released it, but even that, like, it got fixed, and some people enjoy it now. I don't know. I don't play Dragon's Dogma, but I'm not gonna, ignore the fact that, yeah, every company can have a hiccup every now and again. I'm not denying that, but they made it out alive, yeah. It's like, I think we're in a weird spot with gaming, and the sooner people recognize that it's going on and it's happening, and they're able to kind of open up their eyes a little bit instead of opening up their wallets, maybe we can start to kind of make some kind of ripple effect, right? And maybe the customer gets squashed on at the end of the day, because they're always going to come out with their whatever editions and, all this crap. And there's people going to get ripped off every single time. That's a given. But I think it's definitely telling when you start to see people kind of change their ways and realize what they have to, or how they have to approach some of the stuff, and that's being very cautious. I highly recommend Final Fantasy X if you want to try a Final Fantasy game. It's more accessible for you, I think. Yeah, a lot of people told me to check out Final Fantasy X. That's the one demo I think I actually, speaking of demos, that's the one demo I actually played back in the day. It was on a jam-packed demo disc for the PS2, and it was like a whole feature on Final Fantasy. And I think there's just, I think most people have to, kind of look at it as, spending money now. It's, I think with games, with editions and everything like that, it's always going to be a uphill battle when it comes to feeling like your money was worth it, or is it just wait? Is it worth it just to wait, right? And sometimes it is worth it just to wait, because you save money, and maybe the game that you played or you wanted to play, you don't end up playing as much because you're just kind of like, yeah, like I'm good here, like I don't need to spend all this money on it, because you end up saving money and it's going to drop anyway. Some of these games drop a lot faster than you think. And so I think that's another thing to consider too, is that like, some of the stuff, it doesn't stay full price for long. And if it does, like, just be patient and you can save some money, and then you can just play something else in the meantime. Like, I get it. Like, we all get bored. We all hit dry spells of like, we need something to play, we need something there. But yeah, I think it's definitely an uphill battle sometimes. You should check out Chrono Trigger if you don't mind 2D. I don't mind 2D. I know of Chrono Trigger. I just never actually gave it a chance. Should have called RE6 Roadhouse 1. FFX trailer for the PS2. I'll never forget it. Yeah, it was the blue case jam pack. I think it was 2001, I think. And yeah, they had the trailer on there. They had the demo. So it's impossible for me to wait RE2 Remake or RE4 till it's 20 and play it first time. Just can't do it. Well, again, some of them are really good, and I agree. Like RE4, I would, it's dropped price now. But yes, was it a full price game for me? Absolutely. Like, that was a no-brainer. That was game of the year for me in 2023. So, we have Chrono Trigger at the shop. $900 complete in box. No fucking shit. That is crazy. But that's how much those things go for. That's true. Rip for those waiting for Nintendo prices drop. Yeah, I know, right? That shit's never going to drop. That shit's never going to drop. No. Nintendo said we can get that money. We're going to get it now. Are you talking about the Switch prices? Are you talking about the Switch or the game prices? The Switch prices, they've been the same forever, but a bit late. Overheard you. I can't be excited for the TMNT Last Ronin, even if made. I didn't want the first R-rated TMNT film to be a depressing Logan-style story. 3/4 of them are dead. Yeah, I mean, it's always a different kind of situation with the films, because there's so many tone shifts for the Turtles, right? And I think, I don't know if that's really what the fans were asking for, as far as like, I know it sounds better, I guess, like just thinking about like, oh, R-rated Turtles, that'd be cool. But then, I don't know. I think it would be, I think it either split fans, and that's even if it happens, like you were saying in your video, like, it even has to get to the point where things are actually being pushed together, you know what I mean? And actually moving. It's not just ideas that get, thrown away, Switch consoles always drop and the games are always on sale, says Perry. Let's see. RE7 was the B left my house. I can't say it. It was Silent Hill Pizza. Yeah, it was definitely a switch up. It shook things up, that's for sure. Amazon had a Switch OLED brand new for $289 last week. I don't know. I was just reading a comment. I'm not saying I, agree with that, with what Matthew said. It is what it is, right? Nintendo stuff goes on sale. It all goes on sale. You just got to shop smart. That's what it comes down to. Saw a short fan film, TMNT, live action, and it looked amazing, and it wasn't long, but it's cool concept, what people want of a Dark Ninja Turtle film. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. See, that's the thing is like that's why I don't dive into these topics that much because I don't know too much about turtles. Like and the whole brand as a whole. Like I like it. I enjoy a lot of the turtle games. I like the movies and stuff from back in the day and some of the cartoons, but I don't know what fans really are longing for in the Turtles realm. You know what I mean? I know Rambo can speak to that a little bit more. Perry's a fan of the Turtles from back in the 90s too, but like, I don't know. I don't know enough to talk about it is basically what it comes down to. But would I like to see it do well if they made a darker film? Sure, but only if the ideas are actually there. You know what I mean? Um, 15 bucks on Steam too. Yeah, there you go. Wiz, what's going on? Understandable. I would prefer a TMNT like the Raid Redemption. Well, there you go. Yeah, I'm curious to see what they're gonna do. Like I think because the last attempt was shit. What was the last Turtles film that they came out with? I don't even know. Was it the? It wasn't the live action one, was it? Or maybe it was. It was it Out of the Shadows? Was that the last one? Or no, it was the animated reboot. Oh, right, it was the Mutant Mayhem. Okay. Yeah. So after Mutant Mayhem, which I haven't seen, um, I miss Uncle Phil voicing Shredder. Yeah, he was a good voice actor. The shitty Seth Rogen one. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so that I haven't seen. So only heard about it. But yeah, I guess where they're going to take this from, something where again, very different of a tone change. That's for sure. Yeah, it was an animated one. So, yeah, I don't know. Are live action movies your favorite one? My favorite live action film for Resident Evil, if I had to pick one, it would be Apocalypse or the first Resident Evil. Let's see. Matthew says, "Guess I've heard them wrong. People made it sound like." Well, you always got to look for yourself, man. Fuck what the people say. You know what I mean? Um, because to be honest with you, yeah, like unless you're constantly buying stuff for Nintendo or a company, you're not going to know if those prices are going to move. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's we'll pop that myth right now. Just because we record game complainers every week, we talk about games, we talk about shopping smart. We see these things on sale all the time. Now, do they not drop new games for a little while? Sure. I mean, I think that's sometimes they take a little bit to drop new games, but they do drop. Um, well, I'm not gonna say it in that fashion, Perry, because Matthew Webster's a good dude, but I see what you're saying. But take it easy. We can be civil here. It's all good. Um, we're gonna be playing RE0. I'm gonna be starting it tomorrow. Resident Evil Zero 100% stream is gonna be tomorrow. Probably around noon or 1 p.m. I'm gonna start, and yeah, I'm gonna be playing some Resident Evil Zero for the first time, probably 4 or 5 years. It's probably been like 4 years, I would say. Um, like it's really been a long time. So I'm excited, Abraham, to play that. It is going to be fun to jump back in and try to get good at Resident Evil Zero because I'm not very good at Resident Evil Zero, and I'm also not. I don't know. I'm also not like. I don't know. I think it's the biggest thing for me is going to be like when these achievements get a little bit or trophies get a little bit more onto the trying to get it to like a certain time or a rank. That's when I'm gonna hit a wall. You know what I mean? Kay says, when can I complain with you? Oh, we're always complaining every Wednesday, Kay. So, you know, That's always the complainers club right there. The complainers club is the Patreon show that he was doing for a while. But yeah, technically that's our game complainer circle. So I hope you do night gaming. I miss most of your gameplays in the morning. Yeah, I know there's different time zone things that kind of run into some people's streaming schedules as far as watching me, but I try to always stream around the same time or give people enough notice. I'm fine. I'm just explaining a lot to people who just parrot off the internet without doing research on their own. Nothing bad. Yeah, I mean it's again, it's like you have to shop smart and you have to look for yourself. You're never going to get anything done unless, and you're never going to save any money, even if you just look for yourself. Yeah, Game Complainers every Wednesday night on Perry's channel, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Been doing it for 11 years, which is fucking wild that we're coming up on 11 years. Complainers Club ended a few years ago when Eli went to Japan. That's true. Yeah, it's been a while since the Complainers Club happened. Yeah, but yes, Game Complainers is that's our little space to talk about games and what's going on in this amazing, lovely gaming world right now. I say that with every sarcasm because every piece of sarcasm, because like I just mentioned, it's the exact opposite. So the show is now really, really showing its name, because some people look at the name and think we're always trolling. And we're not. We're being genuine and real, and you get that on the show. You get that on the podcast, and like how you get the real stuff soon. With some of these announcements coming up. Like I said, we're going to be having a lot of these events. These live stream events are going to be coming up. PlayStation's having an event. Xbox is going to be having their event. We're going to be covering it all, and we are doing 11th anniversary show live soon. Make sure that date is clear. Yes. So, yeah, that's going to be on the Saturday on, what do we say, May 18th, right? So, yeah. It's just a brand name. But we always give it an honest opinion. And like I said, same thing with what I try to do here for you guys, for Resident Evil Survival Horror. I just try to be honest, and I try to let you guys know, where I'm coming from and what my experiences are playing these games. And no problem, Kay. And Abraham says, are you completing achievements? Yeah, well, yeah, I'm going to be doing trophies, and then I'm probably going to do the achievements as well. So I'm going to start with the trophies, and then I'm going to see if I can take that skill and apply it to the Xbox achievements for Resident Evil 0, which will be fucking a challenge and a half, but we're doing it here. I just thought of this, Ant, since you love Ari and zombies, have you done a zombie run event before? No. Are you talking about like the actual zombie runs they have? No, I've never actually done that. I know about them though. They do a lot of them here over on the East Coast. These like zombie runs, they do it all up, and they like they decorate it all up, have zombies and shit like that. If that's what you're talking about, I'm not sure, but it's almost May. The PS Showcase coming soon. I don't know if it's happening in May. I don't know, Perry, if you heard anything about that. But yeah, I don't know. We'll be covering it though. If there's a PlayStation event, we'll be covering it. Like we said before, I mean, there's no E3 this year, so a lot of these events have to step up to the plate, give us something good. You mean no throwing games if you're mad? I mean, it could happen sometimes, Kay. You never know. But stranger things have happened. I ripped the case apart while streaming Vampire a few years ago. Oh man. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. We've done stuff. Yeah, we've done some. I broke controllers here on stream before, but yeah, that's PlayStation event wasn't announced yet. Yeah, so I know it's a rumor. Anytime these events happen, you guys always realize there's always a rumor that's happening. It's like, yeah, of course it's happening. Like that's not really so much of a rumor. That's a fact. But when it's happening, I don't know. I don't know when, but we shall see. We'll let you know. As soon as we know, we talk about it on the show, and all these fake Sony insiders keep putting out false info. Yeah, that happens way too often, We got zombie pub crawls here. Oh, that's amazing. That's awesome. No first-party titles coming out this year until all ports this year. Yeah. Yeah, Sony literally said at the top of this year that they don't have any other games besides what's coming out this year. So if you play PS5 games on PC, this year will be perfect for you. That's true, man. Yep. And yeah, like Stellar Blade comes out, and then we're just kind of be sitting here, kind of waiting for the rest of these ports to come out this year, and then whenever they want to announce all that stuff. Take care, Aaron. The table shattering was epic. Yes, Masood. Yes, tables do break sometimes. And yeah, that's you never know what can happen. Like I said, anything can happen. Tables can break, controllers can fly, false rumors will fly, heads will roll, eyes will roll. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so yeah, I just want to say thank you guys for making this a lovely Q&A, and yeah, I hope so too, Abraham. Hopefully we get some kind of Silent Hill 2 update soon. But yeah, so there's going to be a bunch of live streaming this week, kicking off with Resident Evil 0 tomorrow. I just want to say thank you to all the members here. 37 months for Carlos Cruz, 31 months for Kay, 5 gifted memberships from Thunders Productions, $2 super chat from Rambo, 27 months, Quentin's been a member, 11 months, Matt, Silburn's been a member, $10 super chat from Nick, $10 super chat from Serving Zombies. Welcome to the channel as well. You're a new subscriber. Thank you for that. Jeff M has been a member for 11 months. And all the other members that are in this chat and Patreon and everybody, thank you. Revelatio, Jeff M, Brandon is also a member, Shadowman, Cody, Azure Eyes, the list goes on. Seabash, thank you for all the members. Matthew Webster with the 5 says, looking forward to RE0. Yeah, thank you, Matthew Webster. Appreciate that for the 5. Yeah, message me on Discord. And yeah, we can maybe get together, all the members, Patreon supporters, maybe before either the end of this month or maybe next month, we can figure out a call-in show or a roundtable discussion for the members that support this channel and keep everything going. So really appreciate that. So thank you guys for everything. I'll see you guys tomorrow with some Resident Evil 0. You take care, John, as well. Sorry for your loss again. Hope you do a really good job, just staying strong. I know you will. You got this, brother. And Phil Spencer's got a seat next to us. Yeah, apparently. Same row. Exactly, right? Yeah. Spider-Man 2 tonight. But, yes, so thank you guys for the love and support. And, yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow with some RE0.